chat, ¿qué tal gentita? ¿Cómo están muchachos? Muy buenas tardes a todos ustedes, bienvenidos a un directo más aquí por la página. Espero que todos se encuentren súper bien, súper de maravilla. Y el día de hoy arranca la siguiente FNCS que vamos a ver, que es la FNCS de la región de Costa Este. Vamos a saber quiénes serán el campeón en la mañana. Bueno, no en la mañana, sino hace poco vimos quién fue el campeón de Europa. La verdad, una locura, hermano. Me encantó muchísimo la última partida. Y pues vamos a ver qué tal nos sorprende Costa Este. Así quedó, muchachos, la tabla el día de ayer. Col con Acor quedaron en el primer lugar con 329. Khanada en el puesto 2 con 290. POM 276. Y si me preguntas, magia, ¿dónde está Peterbot y Bugha? Ahí está Bugha y Peterbot con 180 puntos en el top 13. ¿Bugha puede remontar el día de hoy? Sí, pero tiene que sacar partidas exquisitas, hermano. Sí puede remontar. Si Peterbot hubiera sacado 100 puntos, 80, ahí sí te digo que no. Pero tiene 180. ¿Puede remontar? Claro que sí, pero tiene que tener partidas exquisitas como les estoy indicando. Así que nada, chat, bienvenidos a todos ustedes. Espero que todos se encuentren súper bien. Todo el mundo vaya compartiendo, reaccionando. Vamos a agradecer siempre la primera persona que deja su hermosa reacción y la primera persona que también comparte, muchachos. Eso a nosotros nos ayuda un montón. Un montón. A ver, primera persona, gente, en dejar su bonito like. Y merece el cielo, y en el cielo mereces que esté un ángel contigo, y ese ángel tiene que ser yo. Fue mi amigo llamado Oliver Steven. Y la primera persona en comentar fue mi amigo Willy. Un fuerte abrazo para ti, Willy. Y la primera persona en compartir fue mi amigo Yoser Emir. Muito obrigado, você. Arigato gozaimashita. Ojo, chat, que ya nuestro amigo Peterbot y nuestro amigo Clicks ya han calentado. Escuchen, escuchen.
What's my name?
Peterbot.
Correcto. Ya están listos. ¿Qué tal, Alexander Avelar? ¿Cómo estás, papi? Bienvenido. A ver. Estamos a poco, ¿ah? ¿Qué tal, Rodrigo? Magia, ¿esa doña qué? Esa doña no es la hermana de Bugha, igualita. Estamos a un minuto de empezar la partida. Bienvenido, mi amigo Cristian. ¿Cuántos directos clasifican? Mira, en la partida de Europa clasificaba el primero y el segundo lugar. Ahorita en Costa Este solamente clasifica el campeón. Nada más. Solamente aquí clasifica el campeón, papi. Nada más. ¿Qué tal, Richard? ¿Qué tal, Eduardito Cruz Soto? ¿Cómo estás, mi hermano? Bienvenido, un gusto verte por acá, Eduardo. ¿Cuántos? Ya lo dije, ya compartí. Gracias, Matías. Un besote enorme para ti, mi hermano, por ahí. Gracias, Matías. ¿Qué tal, mi amigo Face Diego? ¿Qué tal, mi amigo Miguel Marín? Gracias, Miguelito, por las 50 estrellotas. Primera estrellita, gentes, enviados por parte de mi amigo Miguel. Esperemos que sean muchas más.
Bugha.
¡Listo, muchachos! Ponen música, atención. No me gustó esa, mejor esta. El día de hoy, la final de Europa, en especial la última partida, me encantó. Fue una final muy hermosa, la verdad. Para mí, hasta el momento, la mejor final que he visto. ¿Por qué? Porque el primero, que era Tyson, y el segundo, Malibuca, la diferencia era de 3 puntos. Y se murieron ahí nomás, los dos casi juntos. Y Pong está muy bien en la tabla. D-Ray con Enzo también pelea spot y está muy bien en la tabla.
Bugha, Peterbot, let's watch how they land.
Yeah, already you could see the shots.
Son 7 partidas, son 6, papi. Solamente que estamos en la partida número 7 o partida número 1, como quieras.
That's something for Acorn and Cold that is so momentous leading into the next portion of the game. But a fight that we saw go down game after game.
No!
He gets the loot stolen right beneath his fingers, and a pickaxe from Ocus to finish the job. Leaving time
Que mira, Bobo. Magia, esa frase la deberías tener de alerta.
Ah, la de Messi. Para la próxima temporada creo que la vamos a tener, papi. Ahorita, como he estado con la remodelación arriba de mis cuartos, no he tenido tiempo, man. Pero gracias por las estrellotas, mi papi Miguel, mi amigo Cauli. Le abrió el cofre al enemigo. ¿Vieron lo que hizo Chaos? Abrió el cofre y el otro men agarró el arma.
Biggest 50-50 that I've seen in quite a while, going into the same trailer for the same box, but from one battle to the next, something that gives that feeling of deja vu. Eoxy and Swirl going up against Chimp and Spade, and you even see in the feed, Blake and taking down users and Polarized, starting the day off hot. So Eoxy and Swirl trying to do that same exact thing, mimic what they were able to do yesterday.
Voy a subir una historia que estamos en directo, chicos.
Even battle here in these games throughout the first 6. So we'll see if these two teams have kind of sat back and realized what worked, what didn't, and they start adjusting that game plan. And clearly, it's working out here first for Aoxy and Swirl. They picking up Chimp quite early, and Chimp, in my opinion, is the stronger fighter of the two. So taking him out is just a matter of time before you get his duo.
Yeah, it just seems like on the side of Chimp and Spade, the timing isn't there. But on the other side of that, Aoxy and Swirl, they must have had a watch on or something because they were on point, and this is a surprise to see. Breakwater Bay, Caskers and Clarity already playing that solo game with Caskers going down early, but it had to have been some off-spawn exchange because you see an elimination on the back of Clarity. Cam lost his teammate as well, and you can see Ed and Miro trying to be the ones to play janitor and clean it all up.
Miro just sneaking up behind Cam.
Listo. ¿Qué tal, Julian? ¿Cómo estás, papi? Bienvenido, un gusto. Ponga Bugha, mi amigo. Ya, papi. ¿Quiere que lo ponga Bugha, mi amigo Steven? Ahí está, papi.
That Miro, without a shotgun of any variation,
Listo, bro.
you can see that he's just quick to rotate,
Para que sueñes con Bugha.
Here and somebody sneak up on the side. That's going to be Ed, but Miro over the top. Shots to be fired. That could be a big win because not only do you get 4 more points, you start off with a shockwave hammer, but Cam knows how valuable it is, whether you have your teammate or not, to try to hold on to that shockwave hammer as long as possible.
Yeah, and they're going to go ahead and exchange some shots there in addition. In the distance, it's actually Trashy. They're not too far out. Going to look for those surge shots, you know, anytime.
Ojo con Mero, Mero no le fue nada bien ayer,
Listo,
muchachos, ya subí historia. Estamos en directo para que la gente sepa. Todo correcto. ¿Qué tal, Suki, papi? ¿Cómo estás? Bienvenido si ya llegaste. Chicos, no se olviden que hay una encuesta donde todos ustedes pueden votar. He puesto dúo campeón de la FNCS, Bugha y Peterbot, Cole con Acker, Khanada Ayers y D-Raid con Enzo.
Peterbot and Bugha. They know they're trying to collect the surge because it is.
Oye, todo el mundo vota por Bugha y Peterbot.
Aviv and users, they've been doing this all weekend long, building a tower in the clouds. They even tend to separate to make sure they have additional angles and try to build up on that surge. In a lobby, this especially day 2 of the finals, it's going to be one of the
con este campeonato de Tyson llegó al millón de earnings. Correcto. Si no me equivoco, ahorita Tyson tiene $1.032.000 ganados de earnings. La verdad es una locura. Una locura. ¿Qué partida es magia? La primera. ¿Quién ganó en Europa? Tyson. Muchachos, pregunta seria. ¿Ustedes creen que Bugha remonte con Peterbot? Pero pregunta seria, ¿no? ¿Tú crees que remonte o no remonta? Yo te voy a ser sincero. Yo siento que puede no remontar, pero puede quedar en una buena posición. Y es que se lo propone. Yo siento que no puede quedar en el primer lugar, pero puede quedar en una buena posición si es que se lo propone. ¿Ustedes sí creen? Ya murió Peter o magia. Todavía, chicos, no mueren. No se olviden que ustedes en la parte de arriba salen los nombres que mueren. Y si no sale Bugha ni Peterbot es porque no han muerto, chicos. Tienen que salir los nombres arriba, cuando se derriban, ¿correcto? Por ejemplo, mira, Seo Jake acaba de derribar a Mo y acaba ya de rematarlo. ¿Entiendes? Está Clix.
Oye,
Oye, muchachos, ahorita que Clix se encuentra sin equipo, ¿se imaginan que lo fichen el clan de Peterbot, el clan de Bugha, el clan de Mero, el clan de Duque, el clan de Khanada? Ya sería... No, pero para ficharlo a Bugha, a Clix, sí tienes que desembolsar una buena cantidad de dinero.
You know whether they have augments or not, they're going to be hunting for that Elim.
Couple of shockwave attempts, trying to go straight up. Going to be a little unsuccessful on that, but Pump is there on the other side.
Mira, te soy sincero, mínimo Clix, para mí NRG, la verdad está pagando a Clix como unos $15.000 mensuales, por lo menos. Primero, jugador competitivo. Segundo, tiene mucha comunidad. Mínimo sus 15.000 a más todavía. $15.000.
You can kind of lay your hat on. Not getting content is something I think everybody needs to go through on the day. And talk about not getting content.
No creo, magia, creo que costaba más que Bugha. Sí, miren, yo les soy sincero, chicos. Yo siento que ahorita el fichaje de Clix cuesta más que el de Bugha. ¿Ustedes qué opinan? Yo creo que sí, yo creo que están conmigo de acuerdo. El fichaje de Clix creo que cuesta más que el de Bugha. Ahorita, en este momento, en la actualidad. Gracias, José Josecito, por las 50, mi hermano. Que salga tu alerta, compañero. ¡Oh! ¡Mató Khanada! ¡Amiga!
¿Quién está primero? ¿Y Bugha en qué puesto está?
Gracias, José, por las estrellas. Te respondo, mi amigo. En primer lugar está Acor con Cole. Y Bugha se encuentra en el puesto número 13 con más de 120 puntos de diferencia. Gracias, José. Bienvenido, amigo.
I feel bad for Justice there in that moment. Because as soon as everybody in the lobby saw Khanada and Agers go for the actual elimination, that tower is massive. Everybody around is going to be able to see it, and you saw the third party.
Agers y Acor eran un dúo inseparable y splitearon. Aunque no creas, hasta los mejores dúos se separan, amigo. Una zona que le favorece a Bugha. Está muy cerca de su spot. Una zona le favorece a Bugha.
We're seeing it yet again. How many chug splashes are there in Khanada's inventory?
Magia, ¿por qué Ali Tepong no está en la encuesta? Esta es una falta de respeto al ex dúo de Peterbot. Lo iba a colocar, papi, pero ¿sabes por qué no lo pongo? Porque él pelea spot. Puede ser que trolee. Puede ser.
You could just heal off against Surge.
Bugha sigue vivo, correcto.
Heal off in the end game. I mean, there's so much potential when you have that many chug splashes. So I'm interested to see what they're going to do.
¿Lo vas a ver el juego? Pues yo estoy viendo, papi, desde el juego, literal.
Jackson, another team, another formidable duo that we need to pay close attention to, is right there, perked up, ready to go. But a team finding themselves in the storm. Yet again, it seems like every time we turn in with Crackley and his teammate, he's just honestly in the storm.
I heard him crunching down some apples, maybe some slapberries as well.
Ojo que Khanada, al estar en el mismo equipo de Bugha, miren, si tuviéramos un torneo en modo trío, fácilmente Bugha podría hacer con Khanada y con Mero, ya que Bugha y Mero ya se conocen muchísimo. Ahora Khanada se vuelve un amigo muy íntimo por parte de ellos. Si es que se realiza algún torneo en modo tríos, lo podríamos ver jugando a ellos. Y aparte irían a jugar a la Gaming House del propio... A ver, para las personas que no saben, tengo entendido de que Mero está jugando en la Gaming House del clan.
We could see a lot of players begin to change up the way they run.
why I liked, like, at the beginning of the season, everybody had their tier list, which augments were rated more than others. But at this point, I wouldn't say it'd be drastically different.
Magia, ¿qué fue la vida de Colazo? Colazo ya es un jugador que se retiró ya. Ya la se está retirando, ¿me entiendes?
And how it really changes your playstyle depending on if you have a ton of loot, if you lack loot, or if you lack surge. For Tragic and Cease, they don't lack surge, but 146 above the threshold is going to allow them to rotate early, but as soon as they get to their spot, they're going to have to start thinking about it, just like Cold and Acorn. I didn't expect them to be in this position. 152.
Magia, en BR solo han entrado 37. A ver. Ahorita hay una polémica, muchachos, en la región, te voy a explicar ahorita. Ahorita hay una polémica en la región de Brasil. En una lobby entraron 37 dúos, no 37 jugadores. Lo que pasa es que ahorita en Brasil hay un problema con el internet de la empresa Vivo. ¿Ok? De la propia empresa llamada Vivo. Yo ya usé ese internet cuando estuve en Brasil. Justo contraté ese paquete de Vivo, de fibra óptica. Si no me equivoco, contraté 400 o 500 megas para los 2 meses que estuve allá. Entonces, el día de hoy ha tenido problemas el internet de ese país. Es como si acá en Perú hubiéramos tenido problemas con Movistar o Claro. Es un ejemplo que te hago saber. Y pues ha habido lobbies muy vacías, con 44 dúos, con 37 dúos. Ahorita creo que ya se arregló. Pero eso ya no es un problema de Fortnite. Eso ya es un problema de tu internet. Si fuera un problema de Fortnite, claramente se haría un remake. Pero como no es problema de Fortnite, sino es problema por parte de tu propia compañía, no se puede hacer nada. ¿Me entiendes? Oh, buen escopetazo por parte de Walters. Gracias, amigo Juancito, por las 30 estrellotas. Ponlo a Bugha. No, lo voy a ver desde acá, Juan, papi. No lo voy a ver desde el juego porque tengo muchísimo delay. Pero lo puedo ver desde acá sin escuchar los comentarios de los narradores en inglés. No hay problema. Ojo, Bugha y Peterbot matando. Ahí lo pueden ver en la parte de arriba.
Magia, todos quieren ver a Bugha. Pupea la partida desde el juego, papu, y ponlo a él. Será que me lee con 30 estrellitas.
El verdadero fue culpa del ping. ¿El verdadero? ¿Cómo sí? No, chat, no voy a enfocarme en solamente ver un dúo, man. Esto es una final. Y hay que ver a todos los jugadores. Y aquí me están mostrando todos los jugadores. Magia, pero gracias a eso Hasen se está subiendo la tabla. Claro, eso le conviene a él, pues, hermano. Porque, por ejemplo, Hasen se peleaba spot con History. Tengo entendido que History en la quinta partida no popió. O sea, le falló su conexión de internet, no popió y tuvo spot free. Y ahí él puede aprovechar en lootear, en tallar y sacar puntos. ¿Me entiendes? Pian, 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 pian. Te desesperas muchísimo cuando no tagueas. Te desesperas un montón. Pero ¿sabes? Yo no sé por qué los jugadores esperan que recién te comience a caer el surge para recién buscarlo. Si te das apenas unos 40, 50 o unos 100, tienes que ir como sea ya a tratar de pelear con un dúo antes que se active. Si no, te vas a desesperar. Igual Hasen se ganó 3 veces por correcto. Miguel, papi, una más, Miguel, te silencio, papá. Chat, a ver, no voy a ver desde el juego. En primer lugar, porque hay delay. Ahorita ya estamos en la tercera zona. Yo desde el juego recién estaría en la primera zona. Segundo lugar, no me voy a enfocar solamente en ver a Bugha y Peterbot. Tercer lugar, acá nos enfocan todos los jugadores. Y tenemos muchísimas cámaras. Bien good. ¿Qué tal, Wilkin? ¿Cómo andamos, papi? Bienvenido, un fuerte abrazo. ¿Qué tal, Lau? ¿Cómo andamos, papá? Magia, si van a buscar pelea, lo van a editar correcto. Ellos se enfocaron, muchachos, a Bugha y a Peterbot, así que no se pueden... No se puede desesperar. ¿Qué tal, Edwin? Gracias, papi. ¿Cómo va Brasil? A ver, quiero que termine la partida, aunque creo que ya terminó la partida de Brasil. Para poder ver... sí. Ah, no.
Maje, ¿cómo va Brasil?
Ahorita acaba de empezar la quinta partida de Brasil. Por el momento, campeón se está... Ahorita por el momento, campeón está Persa y Higuera, pero la diferencia es de 6 puntos por Scarpa. Tiene 491. 15 quiere meter a la pelea, pero no va a alcanzar, chat. ¿Se dan cuenta? Scarpa tiene 491, Higuera 497, King tiene 373. La diferencia es de más de 100 puntos. King se metió muchísimo en la pelea porque no copiaron muchísimos. Miren, dense cuenta cuántos dúos no tienen 10 partidas. Hay dúos que tienen 7. Hay dúos que tienen 8, 9, 8, 8. Son los que no copiaron. Fácil. Ese Raúl. 4 kills y solamente están 100 arriba. Es para que te des cuenta. Es que a veces las kills no solamente las haces en pelea, sino las haces robando. ¿Me entiendes? Cuando ves que están peleando con una bala y ya está. ¿Me entiendes? Ojo, Gerson. Chicos, no se olviden que mi amigo Luis Pineda el día de hoy regaló 50 suits. Regaló 50 suits. Revisen sus notificaciones porque las suits son al azar. Así que les puede haber tocado, muchachos. Les puede haber tocado. Revisen sus notificaciones. Porque el día de hoy regaló 50 suits en la transmisión de Europa. $332 por encima Nepens. El día de ayer le fue mal. Le fue muy mal, chat. Duque también. Maya, ¿quién crees que gane en esta región? Mira, por el momento está Coricol, están bien en la tabla, man. Khanada también está con vida. Yo creo que está para cualquiera. Ese Raúl. Ojo con el sur, chat. 26 dúos. Uy, Acor y Cole está pegando el Surge. Están 26 por debajo. No, se murió Acor. Se murió Cole, muerto. Chao, adiós. Se murió. ¿Cómo va Acor? O Acor se pronuncia. Se muere el primer lugar. Acá puede aprovechar muchísimo Khanada. Ah, se murió gente. Bugha y Peterbot, chat. NT para ellos. Se murió Bugha. Lo más probable es que... Bueno, salió que se murió Bugha solito. Puede ser que se haya muerto por Surge. Y Peterbot también. No, Acor también envió a la lobby. Acor también enviado a la lobby. Esta partidita la tiene servidita gente de Khanada. A ver. Llegamos a la zona, chicos, de Let's Game. Vamos a ver cómo rotan todos los pro player. Muchísima suerte. Miren, Khanada está con vida. No se olviden que Khanada está en el segundo lugar por el momento de la tabla. Murió el primer lugar. Se va a mover esto.
Esta FNCS Huestes para Khanada.
Muchas gracias, mi amigo, por las 50. Esta FNC es Huestes para Khanada. Pero Khanada juega en Costa Este, papi. Khanada no juega en West. West todavía empieza más tarde. Échenle tierrita a Bugha. No va a ganar. F nomás. ese dúo va a splitear, papá. Si el día de hoy no saca puntos ni Bugha ni Peterbot, acuérdate que ese dúo va a splitear. A ver, muchachos, vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa. Primera partida de la final de la región de Costa Este. Tenemos a Elite Pong, que también está muy bien en la tabla. Si no me equivoco, estaba en el puesto número 4. Tenemos a Khanada todavía con vida. El primer lugar, que está conformado por Cole, ya murió. Así que Khanada podría sacar muchísimo provecho. Mucho provecho, perdón. Y si no, también los jugadores de abajo, los dúos que se encuentran en la posición número 7 y 6, que son dúos no muy conocidos, pero son buenos. Ojo que Eiger acaba de ser derribado. Khanada no puede morir. Khanada tiene en total 15 splashes y acaba de eliminar al dúo de Walker. Estamos hablando de Bert. Vamos a usar martillo. 1400 de material para Khanada. Tiene muchísimo material. Tiene muchísimo material. Oh, buen escopetazo le acaban de meter a Rey. Ojo que Respical también sacó una muy buena posición el día de ayer. Pero acaba de morir su dúo. 24 puntos para él, 20 todavía dúos, 32 jugadores. Estamos en la primera. Ojo con Elite Pong, jugador de mando, ex dúo de Peterbot. Se quiso meter al cubo, pero lo acaban de sentar con un buen escopetazo. Queda solamente Trashy. Ojo que a Enzo también lo puse en el podio. Y por el momento Enzo sigue con vida. D-Rage también en el high ground. Clicks también está en movimiento junto a Madwood. Tenemos dúos de élites que me encantarían que lleguen a la última zona, la más pequeña, para ver sus enfrentamientos. ¿Cómo va la encuesta, muchachos? Puse una encuesta. La gente ama a Peterbot y a Bugha con 431 personas. Puse a Colicor con tan solamente 72 personas que han votado. Khanada 40 y D-Ray con Enzo tan solamente 12 personas. A ver, les voy a explicar, muchachos. Con esta partida de que Bugha ya troleó, de que va a salir campeón, no sale ni a cañones. Les voy a romper el corazón, pero es la verdad. Si Bugha quería aspirar a salir campeón, esta partida debió sumar puntos. Si no me equivoco, Bugha sumó en total como unos 8 o solamente 12 puntos, que no es nada. Tenemos a D-Rage. Buen escopetazo. No, mataron a D-Rage. Tenemos a Chutz ahora en el high. Ay, aguantando. Khanada todavía con vida. No, Kawanti, perdón. Ojo, quedan muchos solos. Ojo, uy, Trashy está sacando muy buenos puntos el dúo de Pong. Martillo, vamos a rotar. Quedan dos dúos. Dos dúos completos. Y después todos son solos. Buen escopetazo por parte de Trashy. No tienen material. Si se dan cuenta, ese dúo no tiene material. Oh, mató uno. No, le robaron la kill. Finaliza tu kill. Ah, no, le dieron la kill. Perfecto. ¡Oh! ¡No! ¿Se mataron a tiempo? ¡Ah, no! ¡Lo mató! Lo mató su dúo de Nepen. Ok. 2v1 chat. Y la partida al parecer la va a ganar Nepen. Ojo, dato curioso. Nepen el día de ayer les fue muy mal en la pelea de Spot. Que el día de hoy acaba de ganar la primera partida, chicos. Muy buena partida, gente, por parte de ellos. Ponemos música de fondo. GG chat. A ver, te voy a poner la tabla para que veas cómo se mueve. Correcto, vamos a ver el acumulado. A nosotros no nos... Bueno, sí nos importan los puntos de ahorita, pero nos importa ver el acumulado. ¿Qué es esto de acá? Primer lugar, escúchenme, la tabla se ha movido como no tienes idea. Primer lugar, 347 puntos y lo tiene Chubbs. Segundo, tenemos a Pong con 340. Khanada 338. Miren la diferencia. 7 puntos. Khanada con el segundo solamente es de 2. Es de 9 con el primer lugar. Cole no sumó muchos puntos. 337. D-Ray con Enzo se meten a la ubicación número 7. D-Ray con Enzo. Tenemos a D-Roger con 247 puntos. Bugha y Peterbot se ubican en el puesto número 13. No han bajado. Con 198 puntos. ¿Cuántos puntos sacó en la primera partida Bugha y Peterbot? Sacaron 18. Sacaron 4 puntos, sacaron 16 puntos por kill y 2 puntos del top 25. Ahí están los 18 puntos que sacó Bugha y Peterbot. Ahora, Peterbot, ¿cuánto tiene, muchachos? 198. 347. La diferencia es más de 150 puntos. Por ahí, ¿no? 150 puntos. La veo difícil. Hay que romperles el corazón de que Bugha salga campeón. Depende, si esta segunda partida trolean y no sacan un buen top, ya NT. Pero si Bugha y Peterbot despiertan esta partida, le va a ir fenomenal. Kawanti puesto número 16. Tenemos a Mus en el puesto 21, Larson puesto 23. TK, muchachos, TK le fue fatal, man. A ver, TK, escúchenme. TK ahorita tiene 119, te voy a pasar una estadística. 119. El día de ayer TK ganó la primera partida y sacó 89 puntos. 89 puntos. En 6 partidas que se van jugando hasta ahorita con la de hoy, han sacado ¿cuánto? 20 puntos, 30 puntos. Han sacado muy pocos. De ahí, la ha ido fatal. Rocaine con 100 puntos. Polaris murió perdiendo spot junto a Blake y Beasley. Y en el último lugar tenemos a este dúo de acá. Vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa en la siguiente partida. Estamos listos y preparados para ver. Así que hay mucha gente que vota por ellos. La verdad no sé, muchachos. Ahora, pregunta. ¿Ustedes creen que Bugha y Peterbot, sean sinceros, ¿ustedes creen que Bugha y Peterbot spliten o no spliten? Quiero que ustedes sean sinceros. Miren, por ejemplo, Peterbot acaba de publicar esto de aquí hace 13 minutos. Este juego es terrible. En blanco cada... no vamos a decir esta palabra que es fuerte. Tiró tan estúpido. O sea, lo insulta, men, que hizo un tiro tan tonto, ¿no? Peterbot está renegando, hermano. Está renegando. Ok. Vamos.
In the end game right now. Look at that change. Well, that's the thing though, is that we see even Agers investing a slot for splashes as well.
Magia, Dignitas, se le está dando mala suerte a Bugha. Bueno, a Bugha, porque Khanada le está dando una suerte impresionante. A Khanada le está dando una suerte impresionante. Faulty splits right in their backyard. You see the zone already initially starting to pull that way. No se olviden que en la tarde, el mediodía, Europa clasificaron 2, el primero y el segundo lugar a la presencial de Dinamarca en noviembre. Ahorita solamente en Costa Este clasifica el campeón, nada más, el campeón. ¿Qué pasó con Seyun y Ed Magia? Tuvieron problemas con su internet, compañero. Me dijeron por ahí, mi amigo, mira TK. A ver. No ha hecho ninguna publicación TK.
And when you watch it back as well from yesterday, when they were able to pick up a victory royale, it's incredible to think that they're still finding those instances. And again, don't want to jinx them. It is
Tyson Inmersa, son los campeones.
I like the fact that these newer duos are trying to be proactive in terms of
¡Aló! ¡Dímelo! ¿Cómo estás, Ender? Gracias, hermano, por esas
30
estrellotas. A TK le cayeron 4 teams. ¿En serio?
This is already shaking out.
Pues...
Be crazy, okay? I don't know that I can handle more games like this from day number 2 here in NA East.
Okay.
That was just the first game. There's so much more on the line for so many of these.
A ver, ¿qué dice la publicación de TK? TK dice, 4 equipos que ocupaban mi lugar principal, todos calificaron para grandes, 2 de ellos se fueron y yo, el otro equipo, nos separamos, pero ahora ambos equipos están de vuelta, así que tenemos 4 equipos, aterrizando uno en split. O sea, en el spot de TK, 4 jugadores, 4 dúos, perdón, 4 equipos están cayendo.
All right, Kelly, come here. Send us away.
Tabla de Brasil.
All right, everyone.
A ver.
It's time for the second game of the day. It's game number 8, so let's get to it.
Game number 8.
It's time. Game number 8 is here. And I'm going to be honest, I was not expecting so many changes to the leaderboard.
Ojo, dato curioso, chat. Te pongo rápidamente la tabla de Brasil. Persa y Higuera, 262 puntos. Ah, no, pero te estoy hablando. No. Quiero ver el acumulado. A ver. Persa y Higuera, 521 puntos. Scarpa, 497. King, 397. Nah, no sale campeón, King.
So we'll find out exactly how well they're going to do as game number 8 is here. Let's get
no sale
into it,
campeón.
Jacob.
Game number 8, like you're saying, it's only the second one on the day. Can we actually just do
Yo les dije, ¿quién puede quedar en buen lugar, pero a salir campeón? Nah.
14 games. I'm ready for just spending a lifetime here on this stage with you, Panda.
I don't want it to end.
Pasense.
I don't want it to end, but we'll keep it going. As now Threats and Macwood. This is interesting. We haven't really
está
over to the Lonely Labs area. Too much off spawn.
Top 38 con 136 puntos.
But speaking of a team that is contested, Blake and Bizzle again going for the 50-50 with Polarize and User. Such a risky play. Polarize taking quite a bit of damage, but smart on him.
Oh, NT Polaris.
Again. So despite Bizzle going down, Blake was able to clean it up. My gosh, have they really figured out this drop?
I don't know what I just witnessed. I seen Bizzle and one.
¿Cuántas partidas faltan? Se está jugando la segunda de 6, papi. 2 de 6.
Their opponents. It became a 1v1 with 2 different heavies. Blake coming out on top. That's how you turn it around from game number 1 to game number 2, or game number 7 and 8. They're back to back. That's how you get things going on day 2.
I mean, you're going to remember the first few games of yesterday. Blake and Bizzle,
¿Cuántos estaría llevando Hasense, chat? A ver.
Today they've turned it all around. Even seeing them in the last few games of yesterday, they were turning it around. So it's great to see that they figured out exactly what their game plan is, and they executed on it flawlessly. But speaking of flawless execution, it is Aoxy landing those much-needed shots onto Chimp, going to cause them to be pushed back, and now his teammate, left as a solo player, going to be exposed here as Aoxy just tries to get in the box.
Yep, Spade. I don't know how they got so separated, but now they have to dig deep, and he goes down yet again. You see Chimp trying to close the distance, minimize the audio. Aoxy has some sort of an idea where he's at, but not the exact location.
Correcto, papi.
That's why you
Es un
see them
grande,
on the
hermano.
hunt. That's
Es muy
4 points
conocido por
possibly
toda la
up for grabs,
comunidad,
and for
man.
them,
A sus 14 años ganar $900,000, sacando un top 5.
You see him peeking through. He spotted him around the corner. This is his chance, and a chance he will take. Chimp and Spade are no more, and Aoxy and Swirl rise to the top yet again.
See, Aoxy was comfortable taking that little bit of damage there.
Trade.
He just wanted to trade. He knew, look, I don't care if you hit me with a few S.
Le voy a decir una cosa. Lo más probable, o yo creo que sí, va a ser 100% efectivo. Peterbot y Bugha van a splitear para la próxima temporada. La respuesta es muy fácil. La próxima temporada se va a jugar en N Central. Peterbot hizo una publicación de su ping, le va a 40 de ping. Bugha acaba de fichar por Dig. Dig tiene una casa a 0 de ping, una gaming house. Bugha se va para allá. Así que lo más probable es que Bugha y Melo regresen para la siguiente temporada. Fácil y sencillo, para mí splitea Bugha y Peterbot y regresa Bugha y Melo.
I just want to see them continue to perform. And this reason why I say that is because it gives everybody hope, right? The players that are not the superstars, that are not those big names saying, hey, that could be me. That could be me next. There is FNCS Major 2 around the corner.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Magia, vas a ver West, correcto, papi. West hoy empieza a las 9.
2 is not far out. So, for the teams that aren't necessarily getting their game plan, their strategy down now, don't worry. There are more majors this year, more opportunities for you to go on to the Global Championship. So, just learn from
Bugha
today's
y
game.
Peterbot.
But for a team that is in contention, for a team that is
Imposible.
quite near the top of the leaderboard, it is Khanada and Agers. Their game plan and strategies throughout this competition have been flawlessly executed. But in that last game, with Agers going down, Khanada
Ni siquiera, les digo una cosa, ni siquiera se me pasa por la cabeza de que ellos hagan dúos.
And you can see Yamzo and Rise looting up, throwing all the
Ni
loot
siquiera
on
se me
extra
pasa en la
hills into a
cabeza,
central location. That way they can keep stacking themselves up, figure out what loadout they want to get, and then continue on with their game. A solid game plan, if I say so myself. I've seen so many teams use similar strategies to kind of stack up their Storm Surge so they don't have to worry about later in the game while maintaining as much heals as
Bugha por
possible.
Canadá.
Acorn and Cold
Sería
trying
muy
to do
bueno
the
ver
same
ese dúo,
thing,
man.
but you can see
Muy bueno.
they're inside of the zone already. Much more than they were in that
Bugha
last
dando
game.
vergüenza,
And
Magia,
that
debería
leads me
estar
to
ahí
ask the
para
question mark,
ver las
or
reales
hopefully we'll see it later in the
rotaciones.
game, is how they maintain that Storm
Es
Surge
que como te
strategy.
digo,
Game number
o te
8 or
explico.
7 on the day, it wasn't the best.
Es como te digo y te explico. Mucha gente piensa, o hay muchos chicos que piensan de lo que hizo Bugha y Peterbot ganando unas partidas con 30 kills, 25 kills. Lo van a hacer en una final, eso es jamás. Por eso es que ayer varios comentarios dijeron, Magia, ¿ya cuántas kills tiene Bugha y Peterbot? ¿Están arrasando con la partida? Yo me quedé así, ¿what? Porque muchas personas seguían de las Opens de la FNCS, donde Bugha y Peterbot pues sí. Pero en una final jamás se hace eso. Jamás. No puedes pelear a gusto. Todos los dúos están tratando de taguear, hacer daño como locos.
Yeah, Surge is going to be important here. A lot of these teams were struggling.
¿Cómo
yesterday,
menosprecias a
just not
Peterbot? ¿Qué te
figuring out
hizo,
exactly how to
Magia?
connect
A mí no
those
me ha hecho
shots
nada Peterbot,
early
papi,
on.
pero es muy
Causing some
difícil, es
serious,
imposible que
serious
Bugha
issue
juegue
for
con
these
Peterbot,
duos,
hermano.
but
Peterbot no
for a
viene
duo like
ahorita
Bugha and
en un buen
Peterbot,
momento.
5 more opportunities, I
Y
should
Bugha
say,
debe de saberlo.
to shift this leaderboard in their
¿Me
favor.
entiendes?
You know, look,
Es como si me
as much
dijeras,
as I was saying
Magia,
in the
Messi
show,
va a jugar con
during
Cueva.
third week and even yesterday, how I don't know that they
No
were
seas
going
malo,
to win.
man.
I still do strongly believe that Bugha is the GOAT of Fortnite. I mean, his accolades, his accomplishments speak for themselves. So while I don't know that this is going to be the competition for them, that does not mean we're not going to see them do some big things here in the later rounds of this tournament.
Now, I kind of believe it as well. They've already ramped it up in that 7th game, trying to keep it going, just like Aaron and Naves. Much better performance to start off their day. Hopefully they can kind of propel that forward into more. And, you know, from one masterclass to another, I talk about Bryce and Chubbs and the little bit of experience that they lack, but a man that doesn't lack experience and can lay out the whole plan.
Ojalá, gracias. Ya fue por todas las compartidas, papi. Bienvenido.
Way too kind to me, Jacob. Tuning in with Bryce and Chubbs here. Only 10 points separates first through fourth right now. At the top of that, of course, is Bryce and Chubbs. And listen, Chubbs is a better
Jajaja,
man than
tanta
me.
magia, cara revolviéndose de la risa.
Over the
Claro, pues,
purple
papi.
shotgun. He, of course, does
Aparte,
have that
muchachos,
shockwave
tengo
hammer.
entendido, hay
Bryce
muchas personas
as
que me
well
dicen,
has a
Magia,
shockwave hammer
Alice ya
as
indicó
well.
su dúo.
Lots of splashes going
Pero
into
muchachos,
the
le voy a decir una
engagement
cosa. Yo sé la ultimita, gente, pero no le puedo decir, pues. Yo ya sé con quién va a jugar Peterbot. Si te digo que no va a jugar con Bugha es porque yo sé. Yo ya sé con quién va a jugar Peterbot. Solamente te voy a decir que es conocido. Tú me vas a preguntar, Magia, ¿habla inglés? ¿Habla español? Te voy a dar una pizza nada más, ¿ya? Habla español. Simple y sencillo.
So maybe those chili chugs
Ya
are
está,
just that
chat.
much
Nada
more
más te voy a decir.
I got to agree with it. In these late games, we're seeing a lot of movement going to be needed. Use multiple shockwaves to get out of dodge. What happens if you don't have those extra charges left to get out again? Use those chug splashes. Not only does it grant you some movement speed, but it's allow you to get your HP or shield up at a moment's notice. Rokane and Joji, revives reciprocal, all getting
Ojo,
close
martillo.
by. Wouldn't call this a POI, but the landmark
Uy,
where it has a static launch pad as well. Lots of mobility. And even if you don't need it, you can see Revives the reciprocal, trying to use the shockwave hammer to break upward, drop these players down into their hands.
I mean, honestly, smart play on their part, but you saw Revise get caught off guard.
Con
there,
Alexander.
just a
Sí.
This is not
Bro,
safe
me
by
pillaste,
Jake.
hermano.
Now just getting back with his teammate.
Men, me
They hold a
descubriste,
really nice
papi.
spot in the POI. Not only do they have the advantage over the enemies
Alexander.
within their area, they're also keeping Joji and his
Lo
teammate
siento, bro.
at bay underneath because they
Lo
have
siento,
blocked
Alexander,
off the
no
launch
pude
pad.
callar, man.
So even if they want to try to escape, even if they want to go somewhere else, they're not going to be able to unless they go through them.
Gosh, Cam and Jigglypopper trying to have a much better exchange off spawn. Don't want to leave it down to any solos. They realize how much it impacts the later portions of the game. A Shadow, he defends the angle from Cam. Great job watching out as Jigglypopper goes down altogether. No heals on the name, but a huge tag from Cam. That could be a life-saving one at that. Continues hot on the heels, drops down to the box, turns, tries to take out Shadow as well, but he's in a whole other team's
se nos
box.
va Gan,
He tries
chicos.
to break downwards, but he gets tagged up again by
Se
Shadow.
nos fue
The
Gan.
punches coming in left and right from Sphinx and Shadow to take down both Jigglypopper and Cam. That was well played.
That was a tough one. He took it to the chin, and I believe he'll come back here stronger, especially looking at how Cam was playing that. Honestly, as a solo player, playing that very, very well. But Shadow and Sphinx just getting that extra few bits of damage off to finish off the duo. And good for them. You know what? This is a duo that didn't necessarily have the strongest day one. So for them coming into day two,
Mike, ayer me encontré con Bugha. Primero pensé que era bot, pero luego lo comprobé. ¿En serio?
Right here, right before our very eyes as well. Khanada Agers. You notice something different? 5 splashes instead of the normal 18.
Gente, ese Anderson es un pillín, hermano. ¿Sabes lo que dice Anderson? Magia. No, como dijo, están hablando mal de ti, Alexander. Pero es la verdad, bro. Lo que está... es la verdad, eres un bot, le dice. Pucha. A ver, yo sí me mato, Alexander. Ojo con Khanada, muchachos. 48 puntos junto con Ayers. Hasta el momento se está consagrando campeón. Qué felicidad para su equipo si es que se consagra campeón, ¿no? Un flamante fichaje. Un día antes de la final de la FNCS, o 2 días antes, creo. Qué buen fichaje. Pigoto Alexander, Fred Escudo. Messi por Guerrero, dúo dinámico. Oye, muchachos, de verdad, las eliminatorias al mundial, para las personas que no saben, el próximo mundial se va a desarrollar en 3 países: Canadá, Estados Unidos y México. Ya falta poco para que empiece las eliminatorias al mundial. Yo me he puesto a pensar y a analizar un poquito. Y la verdad, ¿ustedes creen que nosotros, bueno, para la gente que es de Perú, ¿ustedes creen que clasifiquemos al mundial, muchachos? Sean sinceros. Yo siento que hay que esperar otro mundial más. No me veo en el mundial. ¿Ustedes creen que clasifiquemos? Antes que los jugadores salgan de aquí de Perú, porque la liga peruana es una porquería, perdonen, pero es verdad, la liga peruana es una porquería. Antes que migren por el menos al fútbol sudamericano, como Brasil, ¿no? O Argentina, donde es un poco mejor, o bueno, si es posible afuera. Están regresando los jugadores a Perú, hermano. Carlitos Zambrano dejó el Boca, regresó a Alianza. Cueva creo que va a estar en Alianza. Lo que me gusta mucho es de Guerrero. ¿Saben por qué? Guerrero está ahorita en el Racing. Está cobrando un sueldo muy bajo como jugador profesional. Tiene 38 años. Pero a él, a pesar que le paguen solamente $10.000 mensuales, él quiere jugar en una liga competitiva. No viene a Perú. Él quiere seguir jugando y todavía quiere jugar una era más con la selección peruana. Eso es lo bueno de Guerrero. De Paolo, nuestro 9, Guerrero. Pero vemos jugadores que están regresando acá a la liga peruana, hermano. Pero bueno, en el fútbol también puede pasar muchas cosas. Hay milagros. Pero siempre en las buenas y en las malas. Magia Cueva ya está acabando. ¿Crees que debería ser convocado? Pues si viene con ritmo, sí, papi. Ojo que Walker está... ¡Hala! No, men, tienes Walker, escúchame, bro. En inglés, bro. No, se murió Walker. No tagueó, gente. 200 por debajo. Y que muerto. Se lo sirvió. Le dejé servidito a este dúo. Y está muy bien en la tabla. Gracias, Chessman Papi, por esas 20 estrellas. 20 star, bro. Magia, ¿qué opinas del técnico Reynoso? ¿Verdad? Ser técnico hizo magia siendo campeón a la liga. A ver, ¿cómo te explico? Mira, de que le tengo fe al entrenador, le tengo muy poco. Lo que sí me dio un poco de cringe fue que convocó a... En los amistosos convocó a jugadores los cuales no los hizo jugar en los amistosos. Pero debe convocar gente joven. Y lo único malo es que está convocando a gente del torneo local. No tenemos jugadores en el extranjero, man. No tenemos. ¡Estamos muertos! ¡Liquidados! ¡Acabados!
Hola.
¿Qué tal, Mau? ¿Cómo andamos, papi? Bienvenido y gracias por esas
30
estrellotas, hermano. Tenemos a Khanada. A ver, chicos, voy a ver cuánto tengo en mi tarjeta para ver si suelto una sub. Déjenme ver. Regalaré una sub. ¡Ah, chicos! Ah, no, mejor no. Mejor no. Magia, tú que trabajas en Epic, diles que pongan a Khanada. ¡Ahí está Peterbot, gente! ¡Bugha!
Magia, tú que trabajas en Epic, diles que pongan a Khanada.
Sería bueno, papi, que yo trabajara en Epic, hermano. Me encantaría, men. Así sea de barredor, no me importa. La cuestión es que me dan mi polito de Epic y en mi boleta de pago sale empresa Epic Games. ¡Sí! Con eso yo más que feliz. Murió Casker, murió Clarity. Están acabando los jugadores. Magia, hoy ganó la U. ¿En serio, Mau?
Magia, hoy ganó la U.
No. No he visto nada de fútbol, ni siquiera sabía que jugaba la U, papi, por el tema de los torneos. Ya recién en la noche o cuando mañana me levante, vea ahora Facebook, recién me salen todas las noticias. Ahorita solamente yo estoy revisando Twitter por el tema de los torneos, nada más. Gracias por las estrellotas. ¿Qué tal, mi amigo Jorge? ¿Cómo va Peterbot? Va mal, va top 13.
¿Quién va en primer lugar, papi?
Gracias, mi amigo Adán López. En el primer lugar tenemos a un jugador conformado, o bueno, que se llama Chups, que solamente tiene diferencia un par de puntos a Khanada, que se ubica en el segundo lugar. Si me preguntas por Bugha y Peterbot, están en el top número 13. Si Bugha y Peterbot quieren aspirar a ser campeones, tienen que ganar esta partida. Si es que la ganan, hay esperanza. Si es que no suman puntos, podrían ya aspirar al menos para quedar en una muy buena posición, como un top 8, un top 9. Pero si es que les va mal a partir de ahora, ya se dúo splitea. Pero puede remontar o qué. Lo que pasa es que Bugha, el primer lugar le tiene una diferencia de 140 puntos a Bugha. Es mucho. Me dejo entender. Y están raspando los que están abajo. Magia, si gana Pigot, me tatúo tu nombre, Edwin. Terrible, papi. ¡Ojo, full box! ¡Oh!
Magia, si gana God, me tatuó tu nombre, cara llorando de risa, cara llorando de risa, cara
¡No,
llorando
no,
de risa.
ella! ¡No, cúbrete! ¡No, ella! ¿Por qué no te cubres, papi, si te están usando un martillo? Hermano, boxéate, man. Gracias por las 50, mi amigo Edwin. Un besote, papá. No, Khanada, escúchame, Khanada. No puedes morir, no puedes trolear. Vete de ahí, ¿tienes martillo? Ah, no tienes martillo, bro. Chale. Estás 400 por encima, hermano. No, qué forma de trolear gente tan loco, amigo. Qué forma de trolear pero tan loco, chat, te lo juro, bro. A ver, gente, se me colgó la página. Vamos a actualizarlo, a ver si es que no se me cuelga justo en la plena rotación. Y si no, pasamos a la transmisión de Fortnite con audio de juego, ¿va? No, sí se nos trabó, chat. Vamos con el propio audio de juego del Fortnite.
You see, look, 22, right? So 22 teams left, 42 players. Means there's a few solos looming there. And some of those solos just happen to be our top 10 teams. So for players just outside the top 10, now's your time. Now's your time to strike. Now's your time to take it. And with Dubs being one of them, it does look like he is a solo player. He needs to be careful because Jackson and D-Roller, they're solo hunters. They find those people that are by themselves, that are at a disadvantageous position, and they strike and take it.
We already seen them perform yesterday to a high standard. Now it's all about keeping up with said standard. You can see that he's looking back towards the shoreline, seeing if anybody is trying to have a relaxing day at the beach. He spots out N-Pen, but knowing that there's not much he can do about it, he's still continuing to gather all the intel he can. It's Reciprocal and Revise, Yamzo and Rise as well. Two teams already looking like they have the potential to hold on or take the high ground.
Hold on is going to be the name of it. Hold on. Because this is about to be the bumpiest ride of Grand Finals here in the NA East region. You see the storm pulling towards the south. Acorn still in it. Pamsu still in it. And the Amzo and Rise not only in it.
Si me preguntan si sigue vivo, chicos, es correcto. Todavía sigue vivo. Todavía sigue vivo. Vamos a ver de acá. Magia, hoy te mandaron 50 suits. Ayer como 5k. Y sin contar las de hoy. Hoy los demás suits solo quieren regalar una suit a tu chat. Ese Rodrigo. Oye Rodrigo, regalaron 50 suits. No te chapó suit, hermano. Qué salado, bro. Ojo con Patso. 46 puntos para el guapo. Tiene buenos puntos Patso. Magia, ¿cómo va Peterbot? Peterbot por el momento... Bueno, hay que esperar que termine la partida, ¿va? Y te coloco la tabla y tú vas a opinar y vas a ver al respecto. Magia, todos los que han jugado con Pigot, o sea, Peterbot, Pong, Patso, DK, están jugando una final de FNCS y Pigot nada. Lo que pasa es que Pigot se retiró, papá. Pigot, chicos, para las personas que no saben, Pigot estuvo en Perú. Estuvo un buen tiempo en Perú, estaba haciendo contenido, estaba haciendo IRL, se juntó con Rampage. Entonces dejó Fortnite por buen tiempo. Recién Pigot esta temporada ha regresado a jugar Fortnite. No logró clasificar a ninguna final ni de ningún torneo de dúos, solamente en una solo Cash Cat. Pero yo siento que con los fichajes que ha llamado su clan, que es Bugha, Khanada, yo siento que eso lo va a motivar un montón a que grindee un chingo. Y aparte, el 0 de ping que se va a jugar ahí va a ser fenomenal, porque va a tener ventaja con la gente que va a jugar a 40 de ping. Más que todo, los que sufren son la gente de Khanada, del país de Khanada. ¿Me entienden? Pigot se retiró, chat. Magia, Bugha sigue vivo, correcto, mi hermano. A ver, chat, vendamos al juego. Quitamos la cámara, vamos a ver qué es lo que sucede. Vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa, mi amigo. Tenemos en pantalla a nuestro amigo llamado... Bueno, lo teníamos a Trashy Dúo de Pong, que acaba de ser eliminado y la tabla se va a mover. ¿Por qué Magia? Murió Khanada. Murió Pong. ¿Por qué? Porque le dieron Pong, Pong, Pong. Puta, qué cómico eres, Magia, bro. Ojo, D-Rech y Enzo en el Hyron. Vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa, chat. Tenemos a D-Rech y a Enzo en la lobby. Bueno, o por no decir en la parte más alta. 66 puntos para ellos. Por el momento se ubican en el puesto número 7. Vamos a ver si es que escalan o bajan. Por acá tenemos al campeón, tu campeón, nuestro campeón llamado Dick Bugha. Duela quien le duela. Ya no es Zen, sino pertenece al clan de Dick. Lo tenemos ahí en pantalla. Cuidado con Fats. Dúo de Patso que tienen 56 puntos en este segundo día. de la gran final de la FNCS de la región de Costa Este. Solamente el campeón clasificará automáticamente a la presencial del mes de noviembre, que se va a desarrollar en el país de Dinamarca, en la ciudad de Copenhague, donde yo, muchachos, señor La Magia, estará presente en Dinamarca. Estaré allá junto a los más pro players. Por el momento sé que ya está Tyson, sé que ya está Bugha. Quiero saber quién va a estar por parte de Costa Este, y en unos minutos vamos a saber quiénes van a estar por parte de Brasil. Ojo, Dudes muerto. Pat con Pastor todavía siguen aguantando. Bugha con 48 puntos junto a Peterbot. Solamente tiene 300 de material Bugha. Vamos a usar martillo. 3, 2, 1. Impúlsame por favor, Peterbot. Peterbot tratando de ayudar a su dúo. ¿Sí o no, Peterbot?
I have 18 shots, bro.
Correcto. No, murió de Revitz. Acaba de morir. Cole y Acker todavía con vida. 50 puntos para ellos. ¿Qué tablita vamos a tener, ah? Murió DJ. Y Enzo y Rey todavía siguen manteniendo la altura. Siguen manteniendo la altura. Tenemos ahí a nuestro amigo llamado Nepe. Bueno, así se llama el jugador. No, acaban de derribar con tremendo escopetazo a Bugha. Solamente queda Peterbot. Vamos, Peterbot. Calea esta partida, hermano. Juégatela. Hazlo por Bugha. El día de ayer, Bugha, duela quien le duela, lo carrió a Peterbot. El día de hoy, vamos a ver si es que Peterbot carrea a Bugha. ¿Lo podrá hacer Peterbot?
They're boxing up in Rocky.
La madre, Peterbot, toda la vida contigo, bro. Ojo con Acor y Colchat. Buen escopetazo por parte de Cole, hermano, derribando Pato. Cole aguantando. ¿Es 2v1v1? No, es 1v1v1. Vamos a ver quién la gana, muchachos. Buen escopetazo por parte de Cole. A casa, hermano. 1v1. Cole versus Fax, el dúo de Pato. No, ya te... No, llegamos a bajar a mí, partido, hermano. Tremenda win, man. La tabla se mueve un chingo, gente. La tabla se va a mover un montón. Mira, quiero que tú mires conmigo cómo estaba la tabla. El primer lugar tenía 347. El segundo tenía 340. Khanada 338. Vamos a ver cómo se mueve la tabla. ¿Estás listo? ¿Estás preparado? Vamos a verlo. Así va la tabla. Cole y Acor en el primer lugar con 442 puntos. Le acaba de sacar más de 50 puntos de diferencia al segundo lugar. Y casi 80 puntos de diferencia o 90 puntos de diferencia al tercero. Cole y Acor. Pon bajó 350. Khanada con 342. D-Ray con Enzo con 340. Escaló. D-Roger con 323. Peterbot escaló un puesto más. Puesto 12 con 250. Ya estamos hablando de 190 puntos de diferencia con el primer lugar. 192 puntos para ser exactos. Y ojo, dato curioso para las personas que no saben, Acor y Cole caen en el spot de Bugha. Solamente es que ellos se reparten 50-50. Jamás en la vida vas a ver a Bugha y a Peterbot rusheándolo a Cole. Jamás. Gracias a Julio por las 50. Y Mero, te lo voy a colocar ahorita en pantalla.
Y Mero.
Gracias mi papi Julio por las 50. Madgo en el puesto 11. DJ Nimus en el puesto número 16 con 216. Clicks en el puesto 19 con 194. TK puesto 21. Mero, ahí está Julio. Mero puesto 22 con 172. Patso, que acaba de sacar un top 2, 166. Tenemos a Play, ex dúo de Oliver, puesto número 25. Larson y Nani, puesto número 31 con 132. Casger y Clarity, 126. Polaris, 92. Y el último lugar lo tiene Khan, con tan solamente 12 puntitos. Ahí ustedes pueden ver la tabla. Vamos a ver, gentita, ¿quién fue el campeón de la región de Brasil? ¿Quién ya está clasificado a la presencial de Dinamarca? ¿Quién se sube al avión rumbo a Europa? Vamos a ver. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. Ahí está, ya. ¿Se repite una partida? ¡Ah, se agregó una partida!
Seen it affect players already. You're down, you need to get eliminations and a high placement. But if you're high up on that leaderboard already, it almost makes you
Pobre
wonder.
Pedro, se está primero. Por el momento sí.
The question is up in the air.
There's so many questions up in the air, but for these storytellers, one is playing that or making that story a little bit better than the others. They're writing those words down a little bit stronger.
Su barba de este güey de acá, no, de él no.
Unfortunately for Bizzle, he's
la ganó Polaris.
NT para
A huge
y para Blake.
From Blake. Trades.
A ver, acá la gana Speedy o la pierde.
On the other side really changed the course right before our very eyes. Swirl and Eoxy. The team that kind of claimed this spot as theirs, pushing Chimp and Spade off. This time around, at the very least, choosing to go a little bit more towards the east. Not too far, though. They can still trade for Surge as the Eoxy and Swirl climbing up, at least trying to spot out where they're rotating through and just spots them all together.
Yeah, I mean, look, this fight has been interesting, especially on the day. Eoxy and
no hay ningún
Swirl,
Twitter de Bugha.
they have been the victors. Time and time again here in the farms, they've been taking out Spade and Chimp, but Spade and Chimp have a different strategy this
ya murió
time
Khan, ya
NT
para Khan.
Passive. You saw last time Spade was literally diving in, and this time that's not going to be the case.
Ouch.
Speaking of diving in, is of course Nosh is not going to be able to take out Mason, going down super early in this game. Definitely not what you want to see if you're this team.
And you're seeing the drop spot switch ups all together. Glace and Mason once landing at Anvil Square, contesting Clicks and Donnie. Didn't like the look of their position after day number 1 on the leaderboards. Adaptation's key. That's going to be storyline throughout the rest of these games. And for them, they're just trying to do just that, just like Nash and Nut. They're trying to continue to adapt on the fly, change up their game plan that no one could really see them coming.
Yep, no one's going to be able to see this coming. There's so much here. Chubbs looking to keep it together. Aaron and Naves. Wait, they're getting involved on the fight with Aoxy, and Aoxy ends up going down.
Look at Chimp and Spade. You can see them on the mini-map. They hear all this action going down. It's almost like a green light, and they're trying to make it before it turns red. They realize the opportunity is now as Swirl goes down. That's going to be Chimp, who steals that one away. Do they continue to aggress onto this situation? Because in their heads, they're probably thinking the team that contested is weak.
I'm going to be honest. Look, Chimp heard this fight going down from a distance, but we can hear from a distance Chimp is excited. This is the turnaround that they needed as a duo. They needed someone else to get involved as Aoxy continued to win this fight against them, but it all changes now. In match number 9, as Spade
Magia,
and
¿cómo
Chimp
sería
have
si
the upper
castellarías
hand.
en inglés?
Naves is one of those teams that wouldn't have the best day number 1 overall.
Si apenas puedo hablar español,
like,
papi,
hey,
imagínate inglés.
Up, even if not to take first, but to take even more cash in our pockets, we got to start getting eliminations. We got to start getting busy in this situation. Otherwise, everybody else in the lobby is going to bypass us up the leaderboard.
En solo, en línea, y juega en dúo en West. ¿Acaso es que nadie quiere jugar con él? No. A ver, te explico. Lo que pasa es que si lo ves a Dragón jugando ahorita la final de la solo... Bueno, si lo viste a Dragón jugando la final de la solo Kashka, es porque Dragón no sabía que se podía solamente jugar en una región. Se dio cuenta en la noche cuando no podía jugar West. Y pues su región actualmente le eres West. ¿Entiendes? Magia, ¿qué significa WTJ? La verdad no sé, debe ser las iniciales de un equipo. Me supongo.
Talk about leading the leaderboard. Acorn and Cold. First name that comes to mind.
Por fin puedo comentar. ¿Dónde está mi papi Luis?
Still setting records. It's Cold's first time with multiple victory royales in a single FN.
A ver, vamos a verlo, gente, desde acá. Solamente le voy a dar un refresh. Aunque está creo que al mismo tiempo, ¿no? 15 segundos. En Fortnite, ¿cuánto tengo? Casi lo mismo, ¿no? Ay, se me colgó chat. Actualizo nomás. Para que se me vaya bien. Todo good. Vamos. Dice Magia, en mi humilde opinión, Bugha y Peterbot no supieron aprovechar, tienen spot free y solo tenían que llegar al endgame. Mira, lo que pasa es que todo empezó en la primera partida. ¿En qué momento? Cuando Peterbot murió de una forma tonta. Todo el chat lo vio, no lo vio yo, no lo vi solamente yo, lo vi el chat. Y todo el chat explotó contra Peterbot. Porque Peterbot murió de una manera tonta. ¿En qué sentido? En la primera partida tagueó, pam, lo hackearon muchísimo a Peterbot y Peterbot seguía ahí, disparando. Lo derribaron y lo mataron. Bugha se quedó en esas instancias solo. Y cuando tú te quedas solo, no puedes hacer mucho. Después de esa primera partida, Peterbot también murió en la segunda. Por eso yo estoy diciendo que en la partida anterior Bugha casi hizo todo. En el sentido de que quedaba, Peterbot moría, Bugha quedaba en la última zona del endgame, solito rotaba, hacía los puntos. Ayer, escúchenme chat, ayer Peterbot en las 6 partidas, escúchenme, en las 6 partidas, ayer Peterbot tan solamente sacó 5 kills. Aunque no lo creas, hermano. Y el resto fue de Bugha. Para que te des cuenta la diferencia. Es impresionante, es muy grande, es mucho. Es muchísimo. Magia, no lo puede comentar Alexander. Ah, dale, Jay. Ojo, D-Roger eliminando. D-Roger también está bien en la tabla. Se está metiendo en la pelea, D-Roger. Y por el momento está bien. Muy bien. Se le dañó el Cronus a Peterbot. La verdad no sé nada de Peterbot, papi, pero le va mal. Le va mal. A ver, ¿cuántas kills tuvieron en total? A ver, déjame contar las kills del día de ayer y te doy una respuesta, dale. A ver. Mira, el día de ayer, presta mucha atención, papi. El día de ayer, en las 6 partidas, en total, Bugha y Peterbot hicieron 14 kills. En las 6 partidas, solamente sacaron 14 kills. Bugha y Peterbot. Entre los dos, ¿ah? En 6 partidas. A comparación de Acor y Cole, por ejemplo, Acor y Cole ayer en las 6 partidas hicieron un total de 33 kills. 33 sacó Acor y Cole en las 6 partidas. La verdad es un montón, papá. No te olvides que las kills ayudan un montón, porque son 4 puntos por kill. ¿Me entiendes? Ayuda un montón. ¿Ya murió Bugha Magia? No, papi, todavía sigue con vida. Murió Chaos Gaming, 30. Khanada haciendo daño, tratando de taggear ahí un poquito. Estamos ya a puertas que se activa el Surge para ver quiénes son los dúos que van a necesitar. Este men está ahorita en el segundo lugar. La partida anterior no sumó puntos. Vamos a ver si en esa tercera partida suma puntos. Se colgó gente. NT.
Vivid has another plan for us. We're talking about Acorn and Cold and their road to the top. Vivid, how have they been doing so
Magia,
good?
¿cómo va mi discípulo Bugha, Felipe? Ahí más o menos, papi. Mucha expectativa. Magia, Bugha puede remontar. Son 190 puntos de diferencia con el primer lugar. Tú deberías hacerte esa pregunta. ¿Podrá remontar Bugha con 190 puntos de diferencia el primer lugar ya estando en la tercera partida?
Thanks, Vivid, for letting us know that chug splashes are in the future of Acorn and Cold. Because what was that? 9 chug splashes.
¿Por qué no lo ves por el juego? Mucho delay.
That is a beautiful way to start this game.
You can kind of see when you open some of that loot, a chug splash popped out. He has Splash Medic. It's those clues. It's the little things, the little notes that I take to hope to take me to the top of the leaderboards one day. Maybe 2025, you'll see me compete in FNCS. I need that much time to practice, but Bryce and Chubbs, they don't need
doing
much time
pretty
at
good
all.
this game. Listen, they're looking to break the trend so far in day number 2. Seems after every single game we've had a new...
They know one player's weak. They're separated. They're trying to attack. The piece control is theirs. Bryce has him exactly where he wants him, but shockwaving himself out of danger for the moment. This one's going to continue, with Bryce still hot on the chase. Shots are going to fire in. It's going to fire back onto Bryce as well. The bait and switch to try to keep them alive. NPen goes up. He goes right back down and back into the box with Chess Genius to try to heal up. This is a fight that the longer it takes, those teams from fault splits might be like, what is that over there? Is that something that I have interest in? Which, yes, when it comes to Storm Surge.
I mean, look, that was a huge play for NPen, saving his teammate there in that crucial moment. As soon as he was dropping the box, that player was hunting. Bryce lost sight of NPen. Unfortunately, that was at the cost of almost all of Bryce's health there in that moment. But for NPen, they're looking to keep this fight going. This fight, though, is taking quite a long time. The longer this takes, the more eyes it's going to draw, and potentially more of a third-party opportunity coming in the distance.
I'm even seeing on the mini-map, there's another team in faulty splits gathering information with the Falcon Scout. We've seen a couple of teams do it early on from different regions, and it's really catching on. Everybody realized the information.
No entiendo por qué NPen los busca si está 81 por encima.
Every passage of the game as NPen continuously trying to play aggressive. Piece by piece,
tiene 30 de más.
Control, but on the other side,
okay,
his teammates under siege, under pressure. It becomes too much, but they fire back. Tennis Genius with the knock on the Bryce.
Ojo que están matando en segundo lugar,
Scrabbling for the answer, scrabbling for the way out. It does look like he's going to get atop the mountain, but is he going to be able to escape altogether?
Yeah, will he be able to escape? It's actually Chess there on the
Mataron al segundo lugar.
They were
Mataron
not
a
going to
Chubbs.
let him get away, and sure enough, Chubbs, one of our top 10 teams, is going to be
Los
out
hicieron
here
puré.
early in game number 9.
Of even user, 25 below the damage threshold. We can see them looking on in the distance as the zone continues to pull towards the south portion of the map. They're hoping to gatekeep anybody still left wandering on the north. They continue to bounce up and down that threshold, but user found a passage that they can go because they realize Storm Surge isn't the only thing we got to worry about. We got to make it to zone because yet again,
no se olviden de reaccionar. Somos 800 personas en el directo.
This has been a
no se olviden de dejar una bonita reacción. Mi amigo Luis Pineda el día de hoy se sentó 50 subs, gente, para ustedes.
To the east, but it's actually starting to pull a little bit more central, so it's not necessarily as bad as the other.
Y se va a soltar 50 subs más ahorita, ¿sí o no?
¡Sí!
Cómo lo jodo, mi papi Luis.
But a team that's not slowing down is Trashy and Pump. They know how big these elimination points
la bestia, 250 por debajo, ya está, ya era un montón.
They are, so they need it. They need it, but they want it too. And I think they're going to want it more than the other team. You see them continue to press forward.
Nice.
One knock comes through.
1v1.
One knock also exchange. And Pump and Trashy, and what a turn of events, are now out of game number 9.
Wow.
Murió Pong, ¿ah? Estaba también en una buena posición en la tabla.
Trashy turns out to be their demise. And one man's trash is another man's treasure. Taking advantage of the situation, realizing I just have to play defensive, waiting for them to burst through the box. Fires the shot that mattered, putting that final nail in the coffin and keeping their own journey alive, just like Revised and Reciprocal, a team that I'm just excited to watch here towards the end games. The opportunities that they force, it's not even opportunities that come to them, the opportunities that they're creating to take over the high ground game after game, even though they haven't seen the most success. It's about that persistence in which
Ahí está el primer lugar, a Cory Cole. 328 por encima, hermano. Están muy bien.
Because persistence will win them that awesome spot there in the global championships, and that's what they're hunting for. This team is set, and the chemistry is off the charts here for Acorn and Cold. We've seen both players.
Si esta partida saca muchos puntos a Coricol, se van a meter muy bien en la tabla, chat.
From one fight to the next.
Uy,
Peaks at the right time. Catching
the workers.
Slipping. Another team having their game dictated by lacking Storm Surge. You got to make sure you get ahead early, or at least above the threshold, so that way you can focus on rotation after rotation. You don't get held out just like this. You see so many other teams in the distance. Muds and Degen going to be one of them, trying to make their life as hard as possibly can be. But you talked about the team from Lonely Lab, Threats and Macwood. We saw them early on. Not have to worry about Surge, not have to worry about a contested drop. They looted up rather quickly and tried to rotate, because look at where this zone is versus where they started.
I mean, look, all these teams are really having to move here.
Wow, tengo mucho delay acá.
He's pulling an interesting direction. It's going to be the first time we've seen it in this area, and unfortunate for Clix and Donnie. Donnie's going to go down. Clix now having to hold on here as so many other teams pressing him. He needs to switch to hard material. Yes, there it is. He cannot be wasting that wood, because you know as well as I do, Jacob, the more you try to hold on with wood, the more likely you are to get eliminated.
That's also one thing I learned from Vivid playing arenas, playing trio late game, is sometimes it's worse to sacrifice in your resources, build outward, create more real estate to work with. That way you can survive later in the game, because what good are those resources if they're in somebody else's loadout?
Yeah, I mean, if you're eliminated, you're not using builds. So use them or lose them.
Ahí está Peterbot y Bugha.
But for Bugha and Peterbot, they're holding down, getting some big tags there in the distance. You see them having not an exceptional day, number 2, but definitely a better start to the day than they had yesterday.
Ahí está el problema, muchachos, al rotar.
There is very little chance they qualify outside of the top 10 at the follow, or at the end of all of this. But they don't want just top 10. No, Jacob. They want top 2, top 1. They want to walk away with that spot in the global championships. They want to walk away with the majority of the prize money. There's so many things that they want, but will they be able to achieve it?
Yep. Doesn't matter what you want. You got to earn it. You got to deserve it at the end of the day. You see Ed is down. Miro, probably one of the more prominent solo players that we've seen in Fortnite history. Is he up for the challenge? That's the question we really got to ask ourselves. Probably the farthest to go before he's in zone. Also as a solo, trying to use as much of the big bush bomb and the bush warrior augment to try to get himself to 100 effective HP and shields. That way his rotation doesn't come with...
Listo, gente, ya se arregló ya. Había mucho delay en esto. Un montón de delay había. Magia, ¿quién crees que sea? Ah, de nuevo se la LT. La madre, de nuevo se la man.
They're going to try to take shots. They're going to try to get involved here and try to use as many materials as they can to get the fight, because they know how much that refresh is going to provide for them, and that's what you see here, them going for that refresh. It does look like they're so close to getting elimination under 1, but another team now getting involved here. This just makes it tougher and tougher for Pamsu and Fatch to finish this off, and now Fatch taking...
Mataron a Peterbot. Nah, Peterbot está en bajada, hermano. Mira, ve. Bueno, derribaron a Peterbot, todavía no lo han matado. Lo han derribado. Creo que Bugha lo puede...
Not going to be able to get any of those mats. There goes Chess Genius coming in like a candy-stealing baby.
He literally ran in here. Oh, I'm going to take this. Peace. I'm out. And immediately getting out of that situation. Honestly, good on him. But for Scare, he's holding it down as a solo player. It's funny how these events transpire. You see Fatch and Pamsu looking to take advantage of Scare being a solo player, and then all of a sudden, another team gets involved. Fatch goes down, and
le está
now
pegando.
We're here. A 1v1 with Scare and Pamsu, but with other teams looming in the distance, I don't think either one of them are going to be able to make it out.
No, estás muerto, compañero.
Just a couple more seconds to try to get above the threshold, but he gets shut down altogether. A huge shot by Pamsu, trying to use the distraction all around to stay alive here as a solo. Chances of getting Fatch back in are almost slim to none. As Cold goes down, this is great for everybody else in the lobby. We talked about how much...
Bugha matando a Cold! Bugha matando a Cold!
In game after game up until this point. Just 14 below. and he's continuously falling, and he doesn't get it off in time. The splash is not going to be able to be
Se
used.
murió
Down
Acor y
goes
Cole, el primer lugar.
Up goes everybody else. This is their chance to rise to the top of the leaderboard.
The biggest
Bugha
threat
matando
according
también a
to Coles in this
Tragic.
lobby
Bugha
is not the players, but it is the
metiendo
storm
carry,
surge.
chat.
This is the second time we've tuned in with them today where they have gone
No se olviden
down
que
at the
Peterbot
hands
ya
of
murió.
Surge. And
Pero
honestly,
queda...
you gotta get a handle on this
Bueno,
plan.
quedaba vivo
Despite them being
Bugha.
in first place now, that doesn't mean they're going to be able to hold
No.
on to it, especially with the way
Se nos
they're
fue
not able to
Bugha,
get this
chat.
damage here in game
No.
1 and 3 on the day. So he's going to have to tune up and change. But for a team that is starting strong today is Impen and Chess Genius. Interestingly enough, this team hasn't done too much or used as many materials as I was anticipating. They're definitely
Viene el
lower than
retiro
they
de
should be
Peterbot
going
de
into this.
Manuel.
However, based on what we were watching earlier, I thought more would be gone.
Narra magia, no
No,
puedo,
I
papi.
think
Ahorita
you're
la... está
You're just
buqueado,
missing a
hermano.
little piece of that story.
A ver,
They
voy a intentarlo una vez más, ¿ya? Si se me cuelga ya en este. A ver, también está retroceso. Tengo mucho delay en la de sin audio. Ah, ok. No tengo mucho delay. Va, vamos. Espero que no se me cuelgue. O sea, no se me cuelgue el directo. O sea, no vais a pensar mal, ¿ah? Palabras de Peterbot. Mira, yo solamente escucho que Peterbot hace esto. Se ríe, se caga de risa. La estás cagando, Peterbot. No, Bugha te va a splitear. Te odio.
They're boxing up in Rocky.
Ok. Vamos a ver, gente, qué es lo que pasa en la partida. Muchísima atención. Para las personas que me pregunten, magia, ¿qué pasó con mi campeón? ¿Qué pasó con mi Peterbot? Pues ya murieron. También se murió el primer lugar que está conformado por Acor y por Cole. También se murió el segundo lugar que está conformado por Chubbs y compañía. Pero D-Ray pienso... Bueno. Lo importante es que hay salud, gente. No lo va a poder revivir. La gente comienza a spamear como loco. La cantidad de splashes que tiene Enzo es impresionante. Tiene en total 13. D-Ray también eliminado. Tenemos a Shadow, tenemos a Nani. Bueno, se trabó. Bueno, lo importante es que hay salud, chat. Vamos en 3, 2, 1 con la transmisión desde el propio juego. Vamos.
But not finding success in the high ground to date, but this is their chance to turn that around, to change the tide of
Está
that story,
fallando en la
because they can
transmisión.
hold that high ground even for just a moment longer, but no, they're pushed off, and now they need to
Khanada
play
80.
together and finish this game strong.
That was Serbsky and Rapid who took away the high ground, tossing them down low as possibly can be. Everybody trying
Se
to get into
murió
the zone.
Khanada.
Vice has something to work with, especially with that shockwave hammer. We call them a dark horse, and this is his chance to really burst everybody's game. And oh my God, N-Pen and Chess.
Enzo, poquito a poquito escalando, Enzo.
So much chaos in this lobby, which leaves everything else up for grabs.
Tenía
For
13
Ianzo, he just
chelas,
needs
se
to
las
hold
gastó
on.
todas.
He needs to stay alive here as a solo player and do something with his time, especially with so many other solos up in this game. You see there's 10 teams remaining, but only 14 players in the lobby. That tells you most of these players are solos here, folks. So for the duos, you got to take advantage of it. But for the solos, you just got to hold on.
Taking high ground at the perfect moment from one zone to the next. Serbs and Rapid trying to hold on. Ianzo using the big bush bomb as a distraction. No match to his name. A siphon has to come through.
Oh.
That's his chance. He's going to be able to get it. Can he get out as Jackson gets dropped?
Aye.
Tagged up from the sky.
Aye.
Forward in the zone, just a little too far. He gets taken out. Serbsky's going to reap the rewards. 4 more
¿Qué?
points
Llegando
to
un
his total.
gay.
4 more points for him, but it could have been so many more points if he was able to just hold on a little bit longer. Remember,
Se
those
murió Mero con
places are gonna be huge in a
56.
situation like this. That's why you see Revise staying alive. One of our only top 10 teams still in this here, as Revise holds it down as a solo player. His impact as a solo is going to be massive in a game like this, especially considering where they're at in the leaderboard.
You can see him, spots that player, trying to drop it down low. That was a great opportunity, but the 2v1 is just too much to overcome.
Dat está muy abajo en la tabla, Dat.
Teams, as Dubs and Xcept somehow, some way, have stolen away the high ground at the perfect moment. The other full duo left is at the ultimate low. That's Qual, that's Jack with Serbsky being that meat in the middle. He once held the high ground, he always held the high position. Now he holds on to third place as he gets taken out of the lobby.
Kawa también está abajo en la tabla.
Finish it off strong here. Hammer play to knock down Xcept. Dubs sent into the storm. Qua looking to connect the shot. They're exchanging quick. Dubs goes down. It's all up to Jack. Will he be able to take on the fight there with Xcept? Despite his teammates still being in it, every shot's gonna count here. Will he clean it up? And he does, as Jack and Qua walk away with the 9th victory royale of the Grand Finals.
Ganaron la partida dúos que estaban muy abajo en la tabla. Muy abajo en la tabla. A ver. Vamos a ver cómo se mueve la tabla después de esta tercera partida concluida. 3 de 6. Así va la tabla. Primer lugar con Acor, 4.42. 4.42. Nos faltan todavía 3 partidas. Nuestro amigo Resid junto a Revi, 411. 31 puntos de diferencia con el primer lugar. D-Red junto a Emso han escalado muchísimo. Top 3. Chutz, vimos que lo mataron. Puesto 4. Khanada también no sumó puntos. Debió aprovechar en sumar puntos. Top número 5. Pom, puesto número 7. Ha bajado muchísimo. Madwood, 307 puntos. Peterbot ya bajó en la tabla. Puesto número 15. Con 260 puntos. Mus 248, TK 247. Clicks 198, puesto 24. Larson puesto 28, perdón. Clicks puesto 24, sí. Y en el último lugar lo tenemos a Khan con tan solamente 16 puntos. 16 puntos por el momento lo tenemos a Khan. Una tabla que todavía no tenemos campeón porque la diferencia es mínima, Yo creo que todavía hasta Pom puede pelear el One, el puesto número 1. Cualquier cosa puede suceder. Uno de ellos tiene su cupo asegurado a Dinamarca y aparte se gana. ¿Cuánto de dinero se lleva? Se lleva, chicos, en total $120.000. 60.000 para él, 60.000 para su compa. Muchas gracias, Ender, hermano, por esa sub regalada. No se olviden, chicos, de chapar la sub por parte de mi amigo Ender Requejo. Muchísimas gracias, hermano. Un besote. Si dejaste tu like, tu compartida, te va a tocar una sub que acaba de regalar mi amiguito Ender Requejo. No te olvides de agradecer si te toca la esa, ¿ok? No veo a Bugha. Acá está Bugha, papi. ¿Lo vistes, hermano? Magia, si Enzo gana una partida top 1. Brasil, dice Alex. Alex, todavía no termina la partida en Brasil. O creo que ya terminó. A ver, música de suspenso, gente. ¿Quién será el dúo? ¿O quién es el dúo ya oficial al 100% que clasificó a la presencial de Dinamarca en noviembre? ¿Están preparados para verlo? 3, muchachos, sí. Así como lo ves, Scarpa se sube al avión rumbo a Europa, país Dinamarca, para jugar la presencial en noviembre. Tenemos un dúo de Brasil, 551 puntos, salieron campeones. Persa 521. King, el argentino, quedó puesto número 7 con 403. Seyun con Ed, puesto 14 con 308. Nuestro amigo Jasense quedó en el puesto 42 con 136 puntos. Magia, ¿cuánto dinero se llevó Jasense? Puesto 42. Se llevó solamente $200. Se llevó 100 él y se llevó 100 Beto, su dúo. El top 30 se lleva 600. Él sacó 42. Tan solamente se lleva $100 cada uno. O sea, te lo pongo de esta manera. A partir del puesto número 31 para abajo ganan todos $200, todos. Todos se llevan $200, 100 para cada uno. Que para mí la verdad es una burla el dinero que están entregando. Para mí, es una burla total.
In so many tournaments and events, what's been some of your favorite aspects of
¡Ojo!
playing versus watching? For instance,
Ojo, ¿quién es la minita? Información, chat,
I'm a
información.
very competitive player,
A
and
ver.
I know I'm not a pro, but I love seeing how I can
¿Cómo se llama?
improve, how me and my duo can improve, and comparing it to different chapters, different seasons as well. And I love watching FNCS because it just helps me as a player.
And we've definitely seen duos today improve as well. But if there's a duo that stands out to you that you think could walk away in first place, who do you think it is?
I hate to root for any one team because I'm happy just to watch and honestly cheer for anyone because it's so exciting. But I think just to see Revise and Reciprocal on top because they're really just switching up the leaderboard right now.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm gonna fight you on one point. You are a competitive player in all of our hearts. Okay. Now, for all the fans out there, Vanessa, where can they find you?
Magia como va mi papi Khanada cara con lengua de Disney.
That's where I'm usually at.
There you go. Well, hey, Vanessa, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the competition.
Gracias,
We'll
Edwin,
see you.
papi, por las
Of
50,
course,
mi
thanks for having me.
hermano.
Of course. Such an awesome
Magia,
time.
¿cómo va mi papi Khanada?
We can't forget, we're still here in the grand
Por el
finals.
momento,
We only have 3 games left to go, and after 3 games, we will know who walks away the next champions, and of course, a guaranteed spot going to global.
top
champions.
5 con 370. Está a 70 puntos del corte, que es el primer lugar.
Accolades, all of it. I think I'm just ready to get back into the action. I know I want to keep talking. There's so much that we can continue to break down and dissect, and we'll have time for that. Don't worry. But right now, we have to get back into the games. Game 10 is upon
¿Verdad, Arnold?
us.
Muy poco dinero.
3 games left. It is now or never for these duos. So let's get back to it.
Game number 10.
This is the halfway mark of the day. The final 3 opportunities for these teams to climb the leaderboard.
Magia, te quedé en
Who will
Instagram. A
walk
ver.
away the victor of the day? Who will walk away with some of that prize money? And who will be the first of NA East to go to the Global Championships? Well, let's find out here as game
No me llegó nada,
number
papi.
10 gets ready to go
Ni una
underway.
te he quitado, hermano.
The last champion for the NA East region. That's
Dude.
something that a lot of these players, it's more than just bragging rights. It means so much for their history and everything that they fought for to get to this
Dale, a ver,
point.
¿cómo andamos,
But as you
papi?
said, game number
A ver,
10
vamos a ver si
starts
Polaris
right
gana el
now. We're ready
spot
to
o lo
get
gana
this show
Blake.
on the road
Vamos
and
a ver
keep
si es
the
que
momentum
Speedy gana el
going. I'm
spot
not
o lo
ready to
pierde
slow
junto a
down.
Chins.
Let's just keep it. Let's keep it moving,
Atención.
moving and grooving.
As the history continues to be made here for the final NA
No me
East
te cago
Grand
nada, Rodrigo,
Finals,
papi.
we see these teams dispersing across the map. No changes so far here, to my knowledge, as Acorn and Cold are going to be the first ones to land over here at Slappy, and they're looking for instant shots onto Peterbot and Bugha, and they're going to be able to connect just over 50 damage.
Good shots from Cold.
Oye, casi derriba Bugha o Peterbot.
Even like solidifies that they're not going to get pushed by Peterbot and Bugha even more, and you can kind of already see the split. The drop not to their liking. Blake and Biz are going to back off of this one, give up the loot that everyone's fighting for early on in the game. So everybody getting that equal opportunity to really fight back, but when it comes to differential and loot right out of the gate, you got to give a little bit of an upper hand at least to Polarized and users. And you can almost see how confident Blake and Bizzle is, or lack of their loot, because they're just trying to rotate and get even more. They don't want to fight this off spot exchange.
Maja,
with
Bugha
what
ya
they have
fue.
on hand.
No, papi, si Bugha gana las 3
Yeah, you
partidas con
gotta
20
use what
kills,
you can find here in the
top
early
1.
game for a fight like this, and you got to take it quick. It looks like Bizzle and Blake are actually opting to move away from it, and that's probably
Si la
the
gana
right
las
play.
3 partidas
Take
con
what you
20
can
kills,
and
top
get out
1,
of there.
amigo.
Run for the hills, as you don't want to take an early game fight like that is not guaranteed in your favor. But
Pero,
a fight that is
¿y la caja?
guaranteed potentially in Aoxy and Swirl's favor is the one against Chimp and Spade, as they have won time and time again over here near this farm area.
Oh, huge flank.
Magia,
coming
el Cácer
through.
que
Chimp
está
doesn't see it
con las
coming.
2 chicas
Swirl takes
tiene
full
mi misma
advantage, doesn't get the
zapatilla.
knock just yet.
Toda la
Giving
diferencia.
Chimp a second chance at life. That's
Yeah.
not something you want to give any of these players in the lobby. Still trying to break
Chat,
through
mi
and
amigo
bulldoze his
Rodrigo me
way
dijo,
into
Mike,
the
te he
cover.
quitado ninguna
Third
historia,
party
no
coming
encuentro
in.
ni mierda por el
Aoxy's taking a
chat,
huge shot himself. Chimp goes down. This is the chance for the 2v1. You immediately see Aoxy try to disengage. He no longer needs to take the 1v against Spade.
Magia,
Now that
no estás
Chimp went
pidiendo
down
mucho.
and
¿Qué tal,
Swirl won his.
Freddy?
It looks like
¿Cómo andamos,
AFC actually ends
papi?
up going down. Spade's going to be able to
Bienvenido.
clean this up here. And another team looming in the distance looking to get involved here. Spade needs to be careful because all it takes is one moment for him to get caught off guard and he is going to be out of this as now Aoxy's card has been picked
No,
up.
TK y Plague murieron chat, NT para ellos.
Almost makes you wonder, did Swirl
Todavía la página
see Spade up
de...
there? Or did he see
Ah, ya se me arregló la
Chess Genius
página.
and N-Pen climb up that mountain? They're both going to be able to escape for now. Spade is under pressure. Him and Chip struggles, likely to continue if he doesn't have some sort of a miracle on his side. He needs that other team to close the distance, but not soon enough.
Muertos.
He goes down altogether. The sneak attack comes in from Aaron and Naves. So from one fight to the next, N-Pen and Chess Genius better be ready.
I don't think Aaron and Naves are ready for this one because Chess Genius and N-Pen have been winning this fight time and time again. And while they think they might have an advantage in this, both are still very, very healthy. Looking at the way that Aaron and Naves are taking this
porque en
fight,
Brasil algunos jugadores tienen 13 partidas. Se ha jugado una partida más adicional, amigo.
To know that, you know what, I'm going to take the north side of these builds, you take the south side, and let's just push them, pinch them, and cause pressure until eventually we get one to crack.
Catching N-Pen slipping. A huge beam gonna land. One's gonna go down. Chess Genius under pressure. No builds and resources to really defend himself. After a phenomenal game number 9 from N-Pen and Chess Genius, they go down a little early, giving themselves much time to think about what they need to switch up.
Speaking of going down, the zone has gone down to the very far south side of the map. This has probably been the furthest south zone that we've seen in the 7CS Grand Finals.
A Sommer en la final de la élite.
For the teams that are landing towards the southern part of the map, they aren't going to have to do much.
Bien, chicos, Sommer se clasificó a la final de la última Elite Cup. Peleó spot con TK. TK fue a rushearles las 6 partidas a Somerset. Qué falta de caballero, hermano, para que haga eso, man. Te lo juro, bro. Si yo hubiera clasificado, si veo que Sommer se clasifica y me pelea spot, te juro que yo no la voy a rushear, man. Yo soy caballero, dejo que lute y yo me voy, man. Qué mala onda por parte de TK.
Not only take down Donnie, but they take down the full duo of him and Clicks.
Tough day in the office for Clicks and Donnie. They had a pretty good day one. We saw them in the qualifying weeks do exceptionally well.
¿Qué publicó Magia Twitter? Bugha no publicó nada, amigo.
Anytime you take on a grand finals with a new teammate, there's some chemistry to build over time. And you guess what?
Mira tu chat, dije, ¿quieres que mire el chat o quieres que mire?
As an opportunity to build some chemistry here together and pursue even better results there in Major 2 and 3.
You can already see the rotation being used, aerialist coming out,
recién,
shockwaving, them both forward, popping the glider to try to give themselves even more to work with.
Te voy a decir Ignacio, ¿ya? Mira,
hammers.
tenemos Ignacio Rodrigo,
their
papi.
probability for success in this situation.
Te voy a decir Ignacio,
Cold
partida
and
delante,
Acorn, we
hermano.
talked about their struggles when it comes to Storm Surge. They're trying and hoping because you see how far south the zone has actually come. They're waiting to see if anybody else from that north side of zone is either going to try to go to the eastern side, which some would say is the slow side of zone, and they're going to try to trap them there, get their surge before they continue themselves moving forward.
Gracias, mi papi.
Yeah, I mean, look,
Ignacio.
Honestly, if I'm Cold and Acorn, I'm moving now. I don't want to give Bugha and Peterbot any kind of time to come towards me. I know that this is not a fight that we
Es mi primer nombre. Tienes un bonito nombre, papi. Ignacio.
I'm moving.
Por ejemplo, al único Ignacio que yo conozco es de eso, es guerra. ¿Me entiendes? Ya murió Bugha, no.
Start getting closer to that water on the south side because, again, you want to avoid all these other teams.
¿Aún crees que gane Bugha Magia? Miren, chicos, les voy a romper el corazón. Bugha no gana. O sea, de que salga campeón, no. Puede caer en una muy buena posición, sí. Si Bugha quiere ser campeón, tiene que ganar las 3 partidas que quedan con 30 kills.
Such a drastic change
Y es campeón.
this time around. Tamso and Fatch, one has his tower in the sky, the other one trying to meet up.
Pero puede quedar en una buena posición.
But he gets caught out altogether. That's Noxie and Okus are going to be able to take him down. You can see Tamso just trying to escape altogether. He's trying to live as long as possible.
Chicos, mira, no les miento para que me
and
creas.
It is quite early in the game, Panda.
Mira.
So, I mean, if he could somehow lose Noxie and Aokus in some sort of cat and mouse game, he could circle back, try to get the reboot before it's too late. If they let him.
If they let him. That's the thing, right? Look, these teams, when they realize you're a solo player and they know for a fact that you are, they're going to continue to hunt you. They know that you're at a disadvantage, and so for a team like Okus and Noxie, they're not going to slow down. They're going to
Magia, es verdad que Malibuca debería haber ganado la FNCS.
directly towards Pam's to, causing a ton of damage onto him.
No sé.
But Yamzo
Tyson
also not too
se
far
jugó unas
away, able to get
partidotas.
into this fight too.
Malibuca
This
también.
could be
Los dos son buenos.
dangerous for these players.
La diferencia fue de un punto, pero
Dangerous.
Tyson fue más en
That's the name of the
esta
game at this
oportunidad.
stage. Game 10.
Entonces, o sea,
Anybody's
yo creo
a
que
threat.
todos, Malibuca al igual que
Strike.
Tyson, cualquiera de los dos, bien
Putting this
merecido
man
ser campeón.
Right here. I'm just waiting for that pop-off moment. Classic Khanada. To
Bien
really show
campeonado
up,
en
shine
Brasil,
bright.
Scarpa,
Him and Angels
José.
having a phenomenal day number 1. Some struggles here, trying to mimic that here in day number 2.
En Europa ganó
But we got
Tyson
Kelly from the
y
stage
aquí la tabla
to
va
the
a Cole en
mid-game,
el primer
linking it
lugar.
all together for us.
Thank you so much, Jacob. When we look at the duos, we don't just look like what they can do together, but what they can do individually. Acorn looting up here and rotating over to more Oathbound chests. And then, of course,
chica
Cole,
me
with
tiene
the
loco.
roles reversed here, taking a few early shots onto Peterbot and Bugha, and then looking south and taking some more shots there. Clearly going to have a great end game, or let's see if they do.
I think they will. I think with Kelly Link coming in and blessing them in the mid game, they're definitely going to have a better shot there for the win. You already know, but for Chubbs and Bryce, they need to continue to connect some big shots. One of the things that they were lacking before, they're not lacking now, and that is a secondary weapon in the inventory for Chubbs. Good change here. For me, at least, I definitely think that's the play.
And honestly, you can see with one elimination, as we tune into Miro and Ed, you see Cam and the mini-map at that. He's by himself. Jiggly Flopper getting lost along the way. And from Miro and Ed, they can do one of two things. They can play aggressive,
Tienes que
stay
hacer tu cola
long
porque
in the
somos
zone,
varios.
but we know how far south they
bueno.
pulled. So they can continue to rotate, get themselves that spot in zone, and just try to look back. That player,
Chat,
Cam,
¿quién
has
va
to follow
primero?
them
Va
sooner
Acor
or
con
later.
Cole.
It seems like they're even going deeper in zone, trying to go back for loot that they know is there, scavenge themselves, and try
Magia,
to play to some slow
¿quiénes son
side
los
of the
que hablan
zone. I'm
en
saying
inglés?
that
Son
loosely because with a
comentaristas.
far south pool and where they're currently located, I don't know if they're going to reach it.
Look, I know that Frenzy Fields is the only POI in the zone, but the real frenzy is happening outside of the zone as so many players need to rotate into circle. You see struggles coming from players like Peterbot and Bugha who find themselves on the edge and need to start moving. There's so much distance between them and where they need to be. If they don't start moving fast, they could find themselves getting stuck out.
Now, I was talking to my good old friend, Kinch, throughout each and every one of these days leading up to the finals, and he's letting me know some of the roles for
A ver. Si se cuelga, chicos, si se cuelga, lo ponemos ya con las transmisiones del audio en español, ¿va? Para las personas que me preguntan, Magia, ¿quién va en el primer lugar? Va este dúo de aquí, Cole con Acor. Primer lugar por el momento, se están coronando campeones de la FNCS. Y ya lo tienes en pantalla. ¡Ojo! Pregunta seria, muchachos. Ustedes que lo saben todo, porque yo sé que ustedes saben más que yo. Yo no sé algunas cosas. Acor y Cole, si es que salen campeones, ¿sería su primera vez como campeones de FNCS? ¿O ya han ganado una FNCS ellos anteriormente? La verdad yo no sé. Por eso le pregunto a ustedes, si me pueden ayudar. Si es que salen campeones, ¿sería su primera FNCS de ambos? ¿O uno de ellos ya ganó una FNCS o capaz ya ganaron los dos anteriormente? Una vez, ¿quién lo ganó, David? Los dos han ganado, solamente uno. A ver, vamos a enterarnos si es que ya ganó Acor. ¿Qué les parece, chicos? A ver, si es que gana una FNCS, yo me puedo enterar todo acá, en sus estadísticas. A ver, empiezo con Cole, ¿va? Yo les voy a decir si es que he ganado. Déjenme revisar que yo les voy a decir, muchachos, si es que ha ganado una FNCS nuestro amigo llamado Acor con Cole. Tararán. En una FNCS quedó en el top 2. Lo jugó junto con Acor. Quedaron en el puesto número 2 y sacaron 45.000 de earning ganados. Déjenme revisar. Sacaron después un top 5. Ganaron $20.000. Eso fue el 7 de marzo del 2022. Okay. Y sacó otro top 5. El 21 de 2021. Top 5 ganando $18.000. Sacó un top 2. En otra FNCS. What the fuck? Impresionante. Magia, que hoy ya tienes más que te ven en tu directo, ya no es 200. No, sí, pero eso es por los torneos, Júpiter. Guarda este mensaje, va a quedar top 2 o 3. No, yo no quiero que se le repita la maldición a Cole, la verdad. No creo que se repita la maldición. He visto el historial de Cole y he visto que ha sacado muchos top 2, muchos top 5, muchos top 4. Esperemos que no se repita esa maldición. ¿Qué tal, Diego Rivera? ¿Cómo estás, hermano? Bienvenido. En inglés, welcome, bro. O sea, bienvenido, hermano. Aprendemos un poquito inglés. Canadá se está 531 por encima. Está muy bien por el sur. Mataron a Mero. D-Red con Enzo. Ahorita ellos suben en el tercer lugar. No hay que olvidarnos. Peterbot matando a Polaris. Aún les darán el piquete de la defensa. Sí, es correcto, Miguel. Sí se le está dando el pico. La picareta, ¿no? Centro del 2 de los... el rey de los top 2. Sí. Yo creo que sí. A ver, Fortnite tuvo la habilidad de ponerme al campeón del mundo llamado Bugha y está 25 por debajo. Necesita tallar. No es mucho. Y ahí lo consiguió. Pobre Patso. Lo que te acaba de ser Bugha, hermano. No se puso ni techito. Agachadito. Doble D. Y pum pam. Ok. Listo. Se colgó, bro. Eso es lo malo, que no aguanta la transmisión. Se cuelga, man.
Be the team to follow.
Yeah, I mean, for Nostin and Flow, I think they need a big game. They need a win. Fortunately...
Ojo. Bugha... A ver, Bugha si no clasifica el día de hoy puede clasificar la próxima temporada. Si no clasifica la próxima temporada puede clasificar en la tercera. Si no clasifica en la tercera bajo una repesca. Y si no clasifica hoy, ahí no tendríamos en Dinamarca a Bugha. Pero yo creo que es imposible. Yo creo que sí clasifica. Yo creo que sí clasifica.
One of the final games of the day yesterday. Peterbot going down to Khanada Agers. It was Bugha who outlasted so many other teams to give them hope going into day number 2. Why not give your teammate hope going from game 10 to games 11 and 12, closing out the day, just like Bryce and Chubbs. Trying to put 10 toes down when it comes to their positioning on the leaderboard. Hold on for dear life. Because this is going to be a roller coaster of emotions to really close out the day. We've already had so many different lead changes. And that includes every placement below first as well.
That it does.
Clasifica pero con otro dúo. Correcto, Emma.
These two. I feel like
clasifica con otro dúo.
Literally live by the name cold. They can be hot one game, cold the next. And so for this duo, they need to figure out what the strategy is. They've been struggling quite a bit to find their way into zone. They've been struggling a bit with Surge.
Sin Bugha en Dinamarca es como comer ceviche sin pescado. No, es como comer ceviche sin ají. El verdadero ceviche se come con ají. ¿Me entiendes?
No win at all. That's something, you know, I think I can get behind. But there's so many contenders, there's so many teams, the superstars that we know
¿Qué partida
about,
es?
the ones we don't.
Es la partida número
try to
4.
reclaim that former glory. Death and Tahi, 305 above. They got their spot on the edge of the zone.
Más que sabes para cuándo habrá FNCS solos. Para el próximo año puede ser, amigo. Pero este año no, este año todo es
They
dúos.
got the information they wanted early on, and now they're trying to put it to use. Pressuring Burt. He's going to go down to Jackson. Walker's trying to stay alive, but the tables have turned. They have now become the focus in the lobby for a few short seconds. And just like you said a few games ago, you build in wood, that makes you a target.
Más que en la última FNCS en Europa clasifican 15, ¿verdad? Correcto, mi hermano. En la tercera temporada.
Muzz and Dejan should be able to survive this. I think the pressure will subside as we're seeing now. They should be able to hold on to the team, or player rather, that might not be able to survive this pressure. Unfortunately, is reciprocal. He is going to go down there as he just didn't have the resources to maintain any kind of control in this game. But when it comes to control, Yam's own Rise are holding it down.
They're not playing hot potato with the focus of the lobby. They focused out Revise, they took out a couple of those other teams. Now
si Bugha cambia de click sería por si cambia Bugha sería por clics o Khanada.
Just watching it all before they make the next rotation. They say, you guys are bigger. Busy scrambling for surge, scrambling for damage. We're going to use that as a distraction to try to get as close to zone as possible. Staggering themselves just a few inches short of their
¿Cómo estás? Bienvenido, gusto verte por acá en el directo.
Trying to give their position unknown. That way they can peek in and out of their builds to try to pop some shots and try to hold some players back.
Yeah, they want to hold players back, but there's only so much you can do, especially when people have their eyes set on you. The last thing you want to do is overextend, get yourself in a sticky situation. Speaking of sticky situations, it's Jackson's shot sticking to Moo there, and unfortunately Moo is going to end up going down. Now he's going to go for the full elimination there as his teammate tries to make something of it. Shooting back there is Braids just from above, but they are going to get full elimination on the Moo. He wants the material, he wants the refresh, and unfortunately it just doesn't look like Jackson's going to be able to get it.
On the other side though, Braids got serves and rapid trying to
que lo clasifican Dinamarca pueden seguir jugando la defensiva, es correcto, correcto.
Go up a few layers.
Sí pueden seguir
jugando.
jugando.
Caught off guard yet again. Jackson gets tagged up.
Solamente que si ellos clasifican nuevamente, el cupo se le da el que está abajo de él, ¿no?
Seeing Khanada by himself, a little bit of a surprise. Ager's going down, but at least he did enough. He had 2 eliminations before getting
Oye, Khanada está solo, murió Agers.
Above the damage threshold, giving Khanada all the tools in the world to work with.
So much to work with. Listen, a lot of these teams have the toolbox, right? They have everything they need to win the game, but unfortunately, mistakes and circumstance are what find themselves dropping before that victory royale slot shows itself to these teams. So for them, they just need to continue to use those tools wisely and to the best of their ability, especially in these high-pressure situations as Chubbs and Bryce holding it down here from high ground and looking to reconnect and make it strong.
La zona le cerró a este dúo de acá.
Tagging a player up.
Si viene el endgame, muchachos, vamos a ver la zona.
Seeing that they have no shields. Patience right there, because some players might have jumped on that as an opportunity to get a siphon as a refresh. They realize they don't need it. They're just ready to go from one zone to the next. Shockwave hammers galore. And for a lot of players, it's the only way around the map. Some of them might be low on resources and mats as Yam's own Rise spot out Larson. They see him as a solo. That could be an opportunity to go and try to get that siphon, one more team out of their way for this end game.
Listen, one more to go down, and it spells big points for them, but Khanada still holding down as a solo player. Those chunk flashes continue to find his way into the inventory of Khanada and keeping him alive further and further into this game, but now he's challenging this solo player in the box, but this is a big challenge. If he loses
Khanada eliminado.
He can find himself dropping outside of the top 5.
Such a great start to day number 1. Things not looking his
Ojo,
way.
Peterbot y Bugha en el high.
Back from the depths and still achieve greatness. You see Bugha having some sort of claim to the high ground, but only for so long. He's going to have to rotate a few pacings in. Peterbot probably staggering himself back, trying to find eliminations. Cold at Acorn, they're comfortable where they're at, but they're not comfortable when it comes to resources. They're going to have to figure out where they're going to get the siphon, where they're going to get the refresh to come in at before it's too late for them and their lead.
Listen, you speak of greatness, and you see him up there on the high ground. Bugha getting an elimination there. in the feed onto Chubbs, but Rise and Iamzo also getting elimination there onto Nani. So much is happening in this game as it continues to break down. Acorn and Cold, though, doing a phenomenal job of playing together. This is when you see Acorn and Cold at their best, is when they are hip to hip. Acorn building out, putting themselves in the right spots. Cold picking up the eliminations, getting the damage onto these players. That is what makes them such a strong duo.
You can see Acorn leading the way, just like Rise and Iamzo on the other side, but your Kings to the high ground get knocked down momentarily. Do they have enough to hold on? But down goes Acorn. Cold's gonna be left by himself. But for some reason, Panda, I don't feel a lick of worry.
I don't either. Listen, Cold, like you said before, is the one that's putting down all the damage, and it doesn't matter if Acorn's down, because Cold's going to hold it down, potentially walk away with it. But now, finding himself ahead of the front of zone, he needs to be careful. Peterbot on height will be a problem, not just for them, but for all the players in this lobby, because when they have height, they know how to control it.
There he goes, finds one. A little bit of mats to work with. I don't know how he does it. Call him a magician. He makes magic happen every time he pops up on screen. Looking to make it again. A player's going to be right above. He's going to go ahead and bypass it, landing a good shot on the Peterbot back to back as he gets the knock on the
Bugha.
Everything comes down. He almost makes magic happen once more, but every magic act comes to an end sooner or later.
Derribaron a Bugha, pero queda todavía Peterbot.
But with Peterbot cleaning them up, it looks like they're still going to be the champions, at least in this game of Slappy Shores. But with Swirl and Aoxy still in it, they need to hold down and be careful. 3 HP is not a lot to work with, especially in the final moments of the game. But here it is, folks. Here it all comes down to it. 6 teams remain, 5 teams remain. And these players are dropping like flies here, because that is what happens when the ninth zone begins.
For Aoxy and Swirl, this is going to be a miracle victory if they somehow come on top. One of the busiest third parties, fourth parties that came in to start off the game. Joji has a claim to the high ground. He gets knocked. Iamzo said that's mine, snatches it away, sends him down to the low, and he's going to follow up. Another shot. Dangerous trying to keep Joji alive, but it's not enough for the likes of Iamzo.
The conversation needs to be, is Iamzo
con esta partida cambia muchísimo la tabla.
He continues to do things as a solo player no one else can, and this lobby continues to show that story. Will Iamzo and Rise clean it up on the high ground? He's looking to connect the shots onto this player, so unsuspecting, but Rise almost going down, still clutches it up as Swirl actually goes.
Me muero. Con esto la tabla se mueve un montón, chicos. La ganó D-Ray con Enzo. Ellos estaban en el top 3. Papá. A ver. Quiero que pases un pequeño resumen para que veas. Así estaba la tabla hasta la partida número 3, ¿ok? Ahorita hemos visto la cuarta, perdón. Enzo estaba en el tercer lugar. Cole está en primero. Khanada quinto. Peterbot estaba en la ubicación número 15. Te actualizo la tabla. Se invirtieron las cosas. Primer lugar ahora lo tiene D-Ray con Enzo 487, Cole 484. La diferencia es de 3 puntos. Y Roger con 433. Khanada junto a Ayers, top número 6 con 388 puntos. Ya casi 99 puntos de diferencia con el primer lugar. Todavía no tenemos campeón, ¿va? Nos faltan 2 partidas más. Peterbot escaló hasta el puesto número 12 con 326 puntos. 326. Escaló Bugha y Peterbot. TK puesto 19 con 247. Mero 23 con 224. Clicks 26 con 198. Khan subió y ahora el último lugar lo tiene este dúo acá presente. Una tabla demasiado ajustada, porque la diferencia, miren chat, esta diferencia de 3 puntos me hace acordar sobre la final del día de hoy que hemos vivido. La diferencia de cuánto era, muchachos, de 3 puntos. La única diferencia es que acá falta todavía una partida más. ¿Okay? Vamos a entrar a la quinta. Khanada se rezagó muchísimo. D-Roger sí escaló, puede ser que D-Roger en esta partida nos sorprenda un montón. Pero sí, Bugha y Peterbot 326. Puesto número 12. Los favoritos están un poco mal. Vamos a ver cómo inicia la siguiente partida. Un punto magia. No, yo te digo que era 3 puntos antes de iniciar la última partida. Cuando ya terminó la partida, la diferencia fue de 1 punto. Brasil ya terminó, papi. Scarpa fue campeón. Hassen se sacó top 42. ¿Cómo quedó Europa? José ganó Tyson, papi. Si los top mueren, Bugha sube. A ver, Bugha puede sacar un top 6. Un top 7 podrían sacar, pero
That's kind of been the key,
no sé,
with
man.
Acorn and Cold, is that they have had those halts in comparison to Iamzo and Rise, who have been consistently finding those top tier placements.
You know what has not stopped though? That #1 spot switching throughout the entire day. For Acorn and Cold, right? They keep getting a buffer, and you guys have talked about it time and time again. Like, oh, nice, now they have a lead, and then every game it's just like, oh, where did that lead go? And the chase is on right now, only 3 points separating them, but shout out to Acorn and Cold, and I'm
en Gabriel salió campeón, Pesichin campeón, se anuló una partida que había ganado Persa. En abril, ¿en serio, Rafael? Epic Wall 6 FNCS, Tyson 7, Reed 4.
That is a little bit of that clutch factor, but now you need to see the consistency being coinciding along it.
Imagine if they were
A Gran 5, King 5. Te olvidas de Mero, Joel, papi. Joel tiene 5, Mero tiene 5 FNCS ganadas.
I almost wonder if it's like the same thing, because like when they're a duo, they're fearsome, and then when
En Brasil, Pesichin campeonó.
they're finding elims, they're playing spoiler on everybody, but with only 2 games left to go,
En Brasil,
I want to
Pesichin
continue to
campeonó.
see this battle at the top go back and forth. Now, really quickly, we do want to take a moment, Revise and Reciprocal. We want to touch on Storm Surge.
Yeah.
Right? These guys seem to have their strategy on lock.
Yeah, 100%, especially with the south pulling zone, Taco.
Of course, they didn't have too much to actually travel, given that they just were rotating downward in that southern position as is. But the main thing that we noticed was the fact that they were utilizing those push bombs to kind of keep themselves hidden while they're also prioritizing their surge tags. Granted, this game didn't really pan out in their favor. They had a 26 placement finish, but it was just the fact that they were trying to take the initiative.
Yeah, 100%. As you can see right there, 0 eliminations, but already hovering around that 400 damage mark. So they did a lot of damage. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the first zone over here, kind of where it pulled right. And right there, as you can see, very southern pulling out. Let's go ahead and take a look at the position that they were actually in. The X will mark that position for them. Now, Reciprocal there, the reason why this is so important to maintain this position, right? I just mentioned southern pulling zone. He pretty much controls all of those northern teams coming down, and he can just sit.
A ver, la tabla de Brasil, escúchenme chat. A ver, la tabla de Brasil, acá desde el juego, me bota que campeón es... Bueno, acá me sale que campeón es Persa con Diguera. Pero si yo me voy a lo que es al Fortnite Tracker, me sale que campeón... Ah, sí, pues... No, me sale... A ver, Persa con Diguera. A ver. Persa con Diguera, me sale aquí. Pero si me voy... Pero si me voy acá, al acumulado... Me salen que campeón también es Persa y Diguera. O no le han contado los puntos a Pesichin y a Quitos. No se sabe, man. No se ha hecho ningún anuncio, nada, bro.
See first place, maybe running away with it a little here.
Oh man, the stress on an 11 right now for me. This is how I almost said 12, yeah. But hey, speaking of 11, game 11 is ready for us with 2 games left to go. Don't stop cheering for your favorite duo, because it just takes 1 good game and we could look to strike that top 10. But it's game time. Game 11.
Ah, se eliminó la tercera partida. Entonces con eso...
With only 2 games left on the day, the amount of leaderboard changes leads me to believe one thing. We are in for a show, and I got my ticket, front row seats, ready to watch it all unfold.
I mean, look, we got the best seats in the house, to be honest. We got the big screen. We got everything going for us, and I can't wait to see how Game 11 unfolds. 2 games remain, the penultimate game here for this competition, and it starts now. The battle bus is loaded and ready to go, and let's dive into the final.
A ver, gente, partida número
2 games left.
11, partida número 5.
Games, where you're at in the leaderboards means so much. Adjustments have to be made. These are the moments everybody has been fighting for through the first 3 weeks, through Surge Week, through day 1. It's all come down to these final moments. And for an uncontested team like Sphinx and Shadow, business as usual, loot up. If Storm Surge was a problem, make sure it's not. And a 50-50, one of the biggest we've seen. Users gets the Maven, continues with the pickaxe, finally switches on out and seals the deal. Goes back to back, taking out both Blake and Bizzle to start the game off.
That's a tough start. Taking those 50-50s, you never really know which way it's going to go. But when Blake and Bizzle struggle to take those split off-spawn engagements, they have to do what they have to do. But speaking of things that have to be done, it's Deoxy and Swirl continuing to win this part of the farm here as the fight continues to play in their favor. It seems like Spade and Chimp, their game plan and their strategy is to be split. It's just not working out in their favor. But look at this. It looks like Acorn went down early, and Peterbot and Bugha are moving in. They realize they have the knock and that they are much healthier than them. So this is their chance to disrupt the top of the leaderboard.
This is their chance to build themselves points, give themselves hope. But an interesting decision to disengage altogether coming out from Bugha. Probably didn't like the amount of time
Bugha se le fue con todo,
over towards the south side of Slappy Shores. And then you got to hear for the audio that Cole did find a shockwave hammer on top of that, giving them a free get out of jail free card.
I'm going to be honest. If they had the information we had and knowing how weak they were, Bugha and Peterbot would not have disengaged. So could have been
la partida
what we know personally as a bit of a disadvantage or a bit of a misplay, I should say. But for them, it was definitely the right call, especially in that moment. When you don't have all the information going into a fight, it's not safe for you to take. And that's why you see teams like Jackson and D-Roller find so much success. They only seem to be taking the fights that they know 100% that they can win. And despite that, occasionally still finding themselves caught off guard. But that's how the game plays.
Gracias por ir por las 20, hermano. La peor FNCS de Bugha.
We see Mega and Justice trying to gather that Storm Surge. Instead of building a tower in the sky, they're just trying to box fight for it. Very, very early on, you see them taking the high ground, making sure they have 200 effective shield and HP, shooting some Excalibur rifle shots over the top, trying to break through the covers. But the third party here towards Faulty Split is an actual possibility, especially for a team.
Mira, yo me sé en la cabeza todo la de Costa Este. Por ejemplo, Bugha viene a ser campeón con Mero. Después campeonó Peterbot con Vila. ¿Ok? Después de ahí campeonó Averi con Comadón. Y aquí tenemos esta siguiente FNCS. Estamos hablando de la región de Costa Este.
Do well, especially in these high pressure
Bugha
situations.
viene a sacar campeón en la de Peterbot donde campeonó, no sé qué posición quedó, se me pasó. Y en la de Averi Comadón quedó en el top 2 con Mero.
And you can see this time around, instead of both of them taking that high ground, to stop their escape, dwindle down the options. Justice taking the high ground, Mega taking the low. A couple of shots are going to be fired off.
Se dice Peterbot. Yo le digo Peterbot.
And that's why you see them re-engaging.
O como los ingleses le dicen Peterbot.
Towards the bottom, making sure they're hip to hip. Safety is key for Jock and Paul. Resources is going to be a huge tool for their success here as this fight does end up prolonged. And this is the dangerous thing. Look at how close they are towards the edge of zone. Even though there's not a lot of teams towards the southeast, the ones that are there could begin to rotate in and cause some disruption in this scenario.
Disruption is key, especially for teams that have found so much success up until this point. You need to find a way to disrupt their flow, to cause them to make mistakes, to cause them to overextend so you can capitalize on those. And that's what we see here now. Bryce and Chubbs getting challenged for the position that they're in. It's up against Mega and Justice. Despite them not necessarily having the best mid-game fights, they're still taking this one and they're still trying to get better here. But Chubbs unfortunately going to catch Mega off guard and is going to be able to clean.
Puede ser que sí, puede ser que no. ¿Quién sabe, papi?
it is all down to Justice. Can he hold on as a solo against such a strong team?
Interesting decision, though, to kind of throw the shield keg lower. If Justice was weak, he could have healed off of it, but he's too busy being on the run, trying to stay within his pieces, control as much as he can of this game plan, but Chubb shockwaving up, destroying all that was his. But you see Jock and Claw, ones that started the fight. They left for a moment, but now they're here to try to finish the job, even though it's Chubbs and Bryce who are going to get the eliminations. Claw and Jock are hoping that they're weak, hoping that they're down bad, so they can quickly try to clean this one up, because their loot, well, you know, before this point, I would say their loot wasn't that good, but now they're stealing away.
Estaría bien diferente si hubiera peleado Akor y Cole el spot. No.
Honestly, probably the right play here in a situation like
no les convenía a los dos, papi. Los dos son dúos de élite.
Right now, obviously, Acorn and Cold just outside the top spot.
Los dos son dúos de élite.
And Rise holding it down there up top. But look at how close. Just a few points separate first and second. But once you get to third, it's a pretty decent gap. So it kind of becomes for
Magia, no sé por qué dicen que es su peor FNCS de Bugha solo porque juega con Peterbot y cuando campeonó Peterbot en la FNCS, Bugha hizo el mamarracho en la final, también decían que era su peor FNCS. A ver, déjame ver Bugha en qué posición quedó cuando Bugha salió, cuando Peterbot salió campeón. ¿Vale? A ver.
And those third, fourth, and fifth place teams pop 40, 50-point games. That literally will put us in a 12th game winner-take-all scenario between those competitors.
Yeah, I mean, remember, that gap is, while it is large, it's not too large to allow for another team to skyrocket in 2 games, because it is. You got 2 games. With the ability to get 100-plus points in 2 games right now, with 2 very, very good ones, I mean, look, anything goes. But for players like Trashy and Pump, who have...
A ver, comentario de mi amigo dijo que Bugha hizo el mamarracho cuando Peterbot salió campeón. A ver, hermanito. Bugha y Peterbot quedaron en el top 3 cuando Peterbot y Vila salieron campeón. Ahí te lo pongo. 12 partidas. Mero y Bugha. Policente segundo. Peterbot y Vila campeón. ¿En dónde hizo mamarracho Jesús Sánchez, hermanito? Cuéntame, bro. ¿En qué lugar hizo el mamarracho, man?
23rd to end the day, number 1, and now they're 7th.
¿En qué momento hizo el mamarracho?
On the day here today. So it's going to be a huge opportunity to see a lot of these players that aren't known to be superstars of their region continue
a ver, que nos
to
responda
build
ya,
and
porque
become
me dice que
superstars
hicieron el
here
mamarracho,
on
Bugha y Mero.
DNA.
Listen, there's so many superstars when it comes to North America.
Que me lo diga, man. ¿En qué momento hicieron el mamarracho?
And I can't wait to see in Major 2 what superstars are going to be challenged throughout all of NA. But we focus on the now. We focus on the here. We focus on the Jackson that is connecting some decent surge shots here. Because remember, when you're taking shots at an enemy at this distance, you're not thinking you're going to get an elimination. No. You are solely doing that with the intent to get as much surge damage as you can, especially from that type of position.
Yep, everybody kind of having that similar
en la presencial, no, es que
out.
No pueden hablar de la presencial porque en la presencial no jugó Peterbot con Bugha, pues no se puede.
Times even 5 layers high.
En la presencial jugó Bugha con Mero, le fue mal, sí. A Peterbot le fue peor.
Rise and the danger hero clicks in, just gathering him some HP, but that's not going to stop him.
Pero mi amigo dijo que cuando Peterbot salió campeón de FNCS, dijo que Bugha hizo un mamarracho. Y dije, ¿what? Dije yo, porque yo me acuerdo de que no salieron campeón Bugha y Peterbot, pero lucharon los primeros lugares.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's been one of the big struggles for Acorn and Cold. They would have been so much further ahead of the leaderboard had they figured out their Storm Surge strategies in a few of the games today. So, for them,
Ban dice, no, Chaco, ¿cómo le voy a dar Ban, man? Si no ha hecho nada malo, chicos. Solamente he hecho un comentario, pero yo lo estoy corrigiendo, pues.
This team definitely has the potential to cause some issues for some of these top 10 teams. But so far, they find themselves doing things like this. Fighting in the storm. Taking some unnecessary damage for a few more elimination points, and we've seen how risky that play actually is. Even if you do convert onto the elimination, more often
no sabes lo que dice ese nene. Sigue vivo Bugha, correcto, papi.
Just relentless right now, coming out from Jock and Claw. elimination. Right
Más
before
que
their
la
very
otra
eyes.
temporada
4
regresa la
more
PAM.
points as he hits him with the dunk.
Todas las temporadas nos dicen que regresan la Spaz, papi. Pero Fortnite es tan troll que solamente ponen la Spaz en el modo late game. Dicen, y nuevamente lo publicó el propio Fortnite, regresa la Spaz pero modificada. No sé cómo será eso. Vamos a ver qué es lo que pasa en la siguiente temporada, ¿no?
Of the map. A little bit farther of a rotate than some of the other teams that we're going to see here today. And you can see them maneuvering towards the west, trying to go north. They're trying to bypass a lot of that chaos that they're going to run into with the zone that continue to pull towards the south of the map. And for Acorn and Cold, they made their rotation quick, concise, and now they're on the hunt for Surge. That's been one of the things that's been plaguing them on the day when they find that huge amounts of success in some of their games.
Ya es eso, partida completa. Estamos en la quinta, amigo. Falta una partida más. ¿Cuándo inicia la nueva temporada? El 8 de marzo, compañero. ¿Se irá el martillo? Sí, se va el martillo.
Surge will be active going into the third zone for players like Miro and Ed, though. They're set up for success. 201 damage above is huge. That means they do not have to do too much outside of the scope of the work to stay in this game, of course. But they will have to consider moving soon. Despite them having a nice spot here in the Citadel, this is not going to be a spot that they can hold as the zone continues to pull away, pull south. And with players like Bryce and Chubbs already establishing themselves here in the zone, using these bushes to get to where they need, they should be worried. Because teams like this establishing
Esta
early
es otro
is
meta.
only a
Bugha ya
problem
jugó
for the
con
team that
Mero
still
y
find
no
themselves
pasó nada,
rotating.
por eso splitearon.
You can see them just hiding in the bush, though. Trying to make their position as unknown as possible. You can see them going from
Pero
bush
bueno,
to
vamos
bush.
a ver, mira. Es que mira, te explico. Acá, ahorita lo que estás viendo, muchos dúos van a splitear. La mayoría, yo creo que el 50% va a splitear. Te preguntarás por qué. A ver, ¿cómo te explico? En la próxima temporada, Wes se junta con East. Los torneos se juegan en NA Central. West y East juegan en Central. Jugadores de Costa Este pueden hacer dúo hasta con jugadores de West. ¿Por qué? Porque van a jugar a buen ping. O sea, tienen que buscar el buen ping. Acuérdense de mí. No se sorprendan ver jugar a un Speedway con Bugha. Todos los torneos se van a jugar en NA Central. Así que puede ser que tengamos sorpresas para la próxima temporada. Nuevamente repito. West se une con East. Y no es necesario que jugadores de Costa Este hagan dúos. Jugadores de West se van a unir con East. Y puede ser, quién sabe. ¿Te imaginas un Snacky y Peterbot haciendo dúos?
Look at that combination right there. Look at that combination. The Falcon Scout gathering information. Where are these players at? Picking up Pilly's plunder, treasure map. Where do we need to go? And honestly, for how long he actually left it in the inventory, I think it's a chance for them. I think it's something they might go for. Bugha and Peterbot, not much for them to do, but to rotate in towards zone. Not too much congestion all around, just like Revised and Reciprocal have all the congestion all around, but with the Shockwave Hammer and a throwable launch pad right below, they have more than enough movement to get to zone.
La gente de México tiene que sacarle mucho provecho, más que todo en el estado de México donde se va a hacer el pin, tienen que sacarle provecho. Porque mucha gente de Estados Unidos, como gente de Nueva York, lo va a sufrir un montón con el pin. Ellos están acostumbrados a jugar a 5 de pin, 10 de ping, y jugar un 40 para ellos es demasiado.
If they're not careful, they're going to take a lot of damage when they go to hammer yet again. And that's what we're going to have to watch here in the feed. See if one of those players ends up getting caught off guard, because that's going to be a tough rotate for Acorn and Cold.
Quick reactions coming out from Dubs, though. Seeing those builds, fresh builds be solidified. He immediately built a defensive wall for himself. Doesn't want to get surprise attack from above.
Fortnite Brasil Status acaba de publicar, bueno, no acaba, sino hace rato publicó, de que la tabla de Brasil se va a actualizar para saber en realidad quién es el campeón. Pero como lo dice mi amigo Díaz, borró la publicación Díaz.
It's those same big plays that got you to the top of the leaderboard. So it's an interesting situation for some of these players to be in. Wow. Ooh, no.
That's tough.
Think about interesting, right?
It's an interesting pickup for Joji and Roque, who
Hubo partida nuevamente, correcto. Por eso es que la tabla se va a demorar en actualizar para saber quién fue el campeón de Brasil.
In the final 2 games, but Aoxy and Swirl, man, this duo has done something not too many contested teams can do, and that is continue to win their off-spawn engagement. And on top of that, that off-spawn engagement there with Chimp and Spade has been massive points on the board for them. So if they can continue to do this going into game number 12 and nothing changes, they could still finish strong. But a team that is fighting for the opportunity to finish strong is Peterbot and Bugha as they clean up a nice 2 eliminations here.
Snaki está en su casa, papi.
Need to start moving fast as the hammer play now.
Y los mismos jugadores saben quién campeón, no correcto. O sea, no saben porque la tabla está boom.
Right now, you want us to rotate, we shall. First shockwave hammer coming out. The gatekeepers, Khanada and Aegis on the other side. They were the ones who eliminated.
Lo van a deletear en el aire, acuérdense.
On the day yesterday. Can they mimic that?
No.
Just shy right there, box to box. Opportunity for Khanada and Aegis to try to land a huge amount of damage. That one's going to escape them for a moment.
Está muy tocado Bugha.
He becomes the focus of the lobby. They can sense the heals going off as well. A battle for the piece control goes on right before our very eyes. And it does look like
Khanada versus Bugha, por favor, peleense. Quiero ver esa pelea.
Khanada and Aegis take it right back. Having 2 big name teams box to box this close together, both hungry for the actual eliminations. This is going to be scary.
Scary indeed, and Bugha had to use way more heals than he anticipated up until this game. But Khanada and Aegis are going to fully disengage there, going to allow for Peterbot and Bugha to move. But other teams move in. Tahi, Death, going to get to the edge of zone, going to box up here where they can.
Ese era bonito. No un arbusto, un arbusto pequeño.
They're not necessarily in zone quite yet, but they can use this building to recoup some of those mats that they had to use on rotate and just try to stay alive.
Everybody here running low on a lot of their resources, their mats. That safety.
Es muy importante ver esta partida porque de aquí vamos a ver quién está en el primer lugar por el momento a espera de una, ¿no? En Brasil ganó Pesichín, correcto, dicen que campeonaron porque se canceló la tercera partida, pero hay que ver todavía la tabla. Fortnite es el que va a publicar eso.
That's why you see so many teams begin to lean towards that Harvester augment, and then you'd think towards the end game, those crucial heals in which you used early on, it's more healing effectiveness that you're going to get with that augment.
Using the Bush Warrior has been a crucial play for a lot of these teams. We've seen them take unnecessary damage, but with the Bush Warrior augment and the Bush in hand, they're able to heal up quite quickly. So many teams, though, are ready. Remember, we're in the 4th zone now, meaning that moving zones is right around
primero,
here.
Primero iba...
Early, especially the ones
¿Y estaba en el primer lugar, chicos? Me olvidé, ¿estaba Coricol? No, no.
I'm going to say it's going to go further to the east. You see the stack of players.
No, estaba el Rey con Enzo.
That leads me to believe 1 or 2
Magia, algún día jugaré una FNCS aunque me marque un Alexander.
Somebody's got forecasts and they understand exactly where they need to be. And sure enough, a majority of the players to that southeast are going to be easily set up for success.
Ojo, Acor con Colt todavía siguen con vida.
Acorn and Cold still struggling, still holding on, and still trying to do what they can.
Somebody got eliminated right in the front. They're just trying to scrounge up and sneak away all that loot. The player who actually even got the elim was Acorn itself. Opportune time. Ever becomes the focus of the lobby. And it's he who ends up
a la bestia, gente, el spam que hacen ahí es impresionante.
It was somebody else's loot he's gathered. There's loot all over the place, and you got to keep that in mind when we go towards the moving zones and people try to play heal off. That is the scavenge loot in which everybody will try to go for.
You're absolutely right. When you're moving and you see some of those extra piles of material, the extra hammer, maybe the extra weapons laying down, your first thought is going to be, how can I take some of that for myself? And that's what these teams are going to try to do as we begin to move. Chubbs and Bryce, though, find themselves in a sticky situation. They are not far above the damage threshold, so if they do not do enough damage right now, they could end up taking quite a bit of damage here. But sure enough, they find a few shots. It's going to get them up in a nice spot here. But with these players rotating in with the hammer, they're not done yet.
Murió Kawanti.
I feel bad for every team in this lobby if that zone goes even more south. If it goes southeast, overshadowed slabs, the different elevations, the water, the amount of
Imagínate salir campeón y que te anulen los puntos en el caso. Te da cólera, men. Hasta te da ganas de llorar, pero aunque no lo creas.
I'm gonna be more than impressed. I might have to make him a little P-League trophy or something. Just to say, hey, you made the daring play at the end game. But honestly, it could change the ties.
Magia, ¿qué pasa si ganas 2 FNCs? Pues nada, mi hermano, te dan tu dinero normal, chill. No pasa nada. Te proclamas bicampeón.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry.
Miren, el material de Peterbot solamente tiene 160.
On the edge of this one, they know it's just a matter now. They look back, they're going to get some tags, potentially eliminations onto some unsuspecting players that need to rotate towards them, and then wait will be the name of the game as they hit those hammer plays.
Vamos a ver, gente, qué es lo que pasa.
Jacob,
atención.
Rev your engines. Get ready to go because the energy starts now.
And my engine's been revved since game number 8 on the day. And this is going to be the interesting thing as a lot of these teams begin to launch themselves high in the sky. Cease as well, using the aerial as augment. And once you saw that zone pull towards the east, that's when you really had to buckle down and say, what is our plan? Do we have enough build? Can we outlast? Bugha gets caught out. Peterbot trying to find some redemption. A huge shot onto Miro.
Lo tuvo que matar Mero.
Escape for now. But now Peterbot,
y Peterbot vengó su muerte.
Mechanically skilled players we've seen in quite a while, is going to be stuck by himself. He got the knock on to Miro. Now he's really trying to finish the job. Finish the job. He will. Taking down Ed. A huge fight. A huge double elimination on the duo.
Bugha caught out by his old teammate, but Peterbot able to clean it up, and Rise now trying to clean some things up too, as he is the solo player too. Agers, Khanada still in this lobby. So many heavy hitters still in this lobby, and Revive's reciprocal finding themselves on the high ground is huge. When we saw them here yesterday, they were winning games.
This is going to be a great opportunity for them, but the lack of resources of the mats makes me a little shaky, but if anybody can get it done, it's the persistent players that continue to go for the high ground. Acorn and Cold.
Khanada todavía con vida. Y Rey también murió Enzo.
Rise has to do it all by himself. Cold and Acorn, they're down on Storm Surge, 192. Something I wouldn't have expected to this spot. They're trying to keep it going. They're trying to make sure it doesn't really worry them in this situation, but it got me a little worried, especially with Acorn getting dropped, leaving Cold by himself. The world of pressure on his shoulders and using the last of his heals. It's only him that makes the job done. I called him a magician before, and magic happens again.
The Rage!
Huge elimination there onto Dub.
Eliminado.
Remember, listen, Cold as a solo player is exceptional, but when he has more pressure on his shoulders, whether it's the surge damage he's having to worry about, these other players he's having to worry about, sometimes that will cause him to crumble, so he needs to do everything he can to collect as many points as he can. The name of the game is survival because placement is so valuable in a situation like this.
Peterbot eliminado a manos de DJ.
To pay attention to the feed, you got to be looking at Yamzu and Rise. At least outlasting them at the very minimum here in game number 11. That's going to be key, but waiting in the wings, waiting to see them pop off. Khanada and Agers trying to take this opportunity by storm. With a lot of the top teams in shambles, this is their moment to strike. Without resources, without any material to work with, they're going to have to figure out another way in, but they find a gold mine towards the low ground. But Reciprocal and Revise, I asked the question, do they have enough resources to hold on? They said, yes, sir, we do.
Yes, sir, indeed. Let's see if they can maintain it, though, because so many players are going to look soon. They're going to try and take it as they can, especially with players like this. Agers losing Khanada does have the hammer in the inventory and can cause disruption for the entire lobby. But Cold now just trying to get ahead of zone.
Where is he finding this loot? Where is he? Where's the llama at? I don't know where Cole's going to be able to dig deep. How many times? Every time I think he's going to be out, he pops right back on in. Khanada and Agers as well. The revive is going to be successful. Chess Genius is trying to challenge for the high ground. Everything comes crashing down, but did they take it back? Khanada and Agers trying to survive, living on a prayer, down on resources, similar to Cold, but he has all the resources to work with. And as soon as zone pops, he built himself outward, and he's getting ready because he knows you have to have those boots strapped in.
The solo impact of Cold in this competition is unreal.
Khanada con vida.
So many points here as a solo player that it is massive, but another team that is putting points on the board. It is Chess Genius and Inpin yet again. 9 eliminations, Jacob.
This is the second time we've seen this. Waiting to the late game, waiting to the movie zones where everybody's in shambles. They force that high ground take and they hold on to it, but Cold is still going. This man has energy for days, and you can see him sneaking, prowling in the distance, trying to hunt the opponents, but the pressure from the high ground is stopping his plan. But up he goes. He said, you challenge me, I will make sure you regret it. But bouncing in and out of zones, his opportunity is running out as his match run go.
This is it here. Can Cold hold on? He gets the
no.
elimination.
Mató a Khanada.
Khanada. But Ager's still in this game. He's looking to convert, and he does. A full elimination comes through. Cold now finds Ager's here. For it all, it's actually death on the other side of this. Another one coming through here for Cold. Can he be stopped?
1v2, bien jugado de Cold, partidota.
DJ Cold does enough, but it's not.
Partidota, gente, por parte de Cold. Le sacó, creo que le saca ventaja a Enzo. Yo siento que le saca ventaja. Qué buena partida de Cold. Hizo kills y sacó un top 2. Tabla por el momento. Chat. 57 puntos de diferencia con el segundo lugar, que lo tiene D-Rate con Enzo. 560 puntos lo tiene Cold junto a Icor. Khanada en el puesto número 3 con 476. ¿Ustedes qué dicen? ¿Ya tenemos un campeón o todavía no? D-Roger puesto 4. Moose puesto 9 con DJ. Peterbot puesto 14 con 360. Madwood 15. DK 22. Clicks 29. Ya tenemos campeón. ¿Ya podemos decir que es campeón o no? La diferencia son de 57 puntos. Y miren la encuesta, te voy a poner la encuesta, papá. Mira esta encuesta, hermano. Yo puse la encuesta. Campeón Defense es Bugha y Peterbot. Votaron 833 personas. Agor con Cole 256. Khanada 159. D-Rate con Enzo 44. 833 personas le fueron a Bugha y a Peterbot. ¿Qué pasa si hubiera una casa de apuestas? La mayoría hubiera perdido sus puntos. ¿Me entienden? Déjenme ver si es que ya se actualizó la tabla de Brasil o todavía no lo corrigen. No, todavía no lo corrigen. Todavía no lo corrigen. Lo que se perdió Sente Magia su dúo. Lo que pasa es que Sente se retiró, papi. ¿Me entiendes? ¿Ustedes creen que Bugha vaya a grifiar a Akor y a Cole? No se olviden que los dos caen en el mismo spot. ¿Ustedes creen que lo vaya a grifiar? No, lo veo muy difícil, ¿no? Sería mala onda. Eitenepen ayer con cuántos puntos estaba. Ah, ¿con cuántos puntos sacó él ayer? No sé, papá. Déjame checar y te digo, ¿ah? Ayer sacaron ellos... Sacaron 72 puntos nomás, amigo. En el competitivo no hay amigos. Correcto. Buena respuesta, Johan. Cuando te juegas un torneo por una cantidad de earning muy grande, una competencia no existe que eres mi mejor amigo. No importa nada. La amistad queda fuera y la competencia es otro rollo, ¿no? Buena respuesta, Johan. ¿Qué top quedó Hasense ya? En el top 42 me vota aquí, pero se va a actualizar la tabla. Puede ser que quede más arriba o más abajo. La verdad no sé, mi amigo. Sente debe estar bien orgulloso y contento. Magia rompió la maldición. ¡Ojo! No creo Magia. Además, Bugha le tiene respeto, pero en el juego no hay amigos, correcto. Por eso, ya se terminó. Nos falta una partida más, papi. Inicia en 1 minuto con 40 segundos. Muchachos, en la transmisión de la tarde llegamos a las 700 reacciones. En este directo me encantaría igual pasar las 700 reacciones para empezar con la región de West, que arranca, terminando esta partida arranca West. Vamos chicos, ¿les parece? ¿Somos cuántas? Miren, somos casi 700 personas. Fácilmente llegamos a 700 reacciones, chicos. Para empezar West con todo y ver quién será el campeón de West. Si es Snacky, es Pitbull o es Yasir. Va a estar good ver eso. Mega, ¿tú conoces a esos conductores? En persona no, papi. Pero yo los conozco a tiempo a ellos. Última partida. Vamos a ver si es que Cole muere y D-Ray y Enzo ganan la partida. Vamos a verificar.
What are you eating in the morning? That is my meal from now on. It's ridiculous. Game number 12. If it's about him again, I'm going to be done. Double done.
Then we go home. We out of here. But that being said, a single game left to go here in NA East. Remember, don't stop cheering for your favorite duo. Being able to break into the top 10 would be wild. This is life-changing amounts of money. And of course, we have to keep eyes on Cold. Will we run this back once again? Can anybody stop the freight train that is Cold? Let's find out, because this is game number 12.
Game number 12.
Here it is.
Última partida, la partida del grifeo.
These teams to disrupt this leaderboard. Will Cold and Acorn be stopped? Will Khanada and Agers cause an upset to stay in the top 10, top 5? Well, it's time. The final game of the NA East Grand Finals begins right now, Jacob.
Everything that we've been watching for the last 5 weeks comes down to this very last game. For some,
gracias, Eddie, por la 50.
There's still a chance for first place. For others, there's still a life-changing amount of money on the line. So you can't give up quick. A couple of shots could be landed, and this is how you get someone like this going. You got to imagine how confident he's feeling at this stage of the game.
Gracias, Edwin, por la 50, hermano.
Bugha grifea Cole cara con lengua de dinero.
From a health deficit, but Bizzle and Blake actually winning this off spawn here to the chest first. Now they're pushing straight forward. Bizzle feeling confident with that machine SMG in hand. Will he be able to break in and cause some disruption for users? That's what he's looking to do. But a bush comes out, and for Bizzle, he's looking to continue this fight on. Users going to take a little bit of damage, but definitely still in a healthier spot than Bizzle is. Now going to ignite the gas can. Blake pushing in. Polarized trying to get to his teammate, but it's not going to be quick enough as Blake ends up getting the first knock of this fight.
Damage here is going to be important for Blake, and it is going to
be
more
ganó
than
el
just
spot
that.
Blake.
Wrap him up, chip him out. Blake and Bizzle come out on top again. And one of the things I was hearing was all the noise from Polarized and users, and I was saying, Bizzle's an OG, you can't stop that, man. It's Chess Genius and NPen coming off a huge victory in that last game. Now the pressure comes down to a 1v1 situation. Can Chess Genius outlast Ducky here? You see NPen peeking around the corner, trying to give the information. And you can see Ducky just trying to go up a layer, grab the high ground.
Los dos están muy tocados.
And the interesting thing is there's no shields on either one of these players. So just a quick shot, a well-placed shot is going to end somebody's day here early.
But whose day will it be? Will it be our last game victors? Will they be going down off spawn? Or will Chess Genius be able to clutch it up here in the final moments to keep them into game number 12? Here it is, though. Remember, they found themselves just outside of the top 10 going into the final game of the day. So for them to walk away with some of that big money at the end of or at the top of the prize pool, they need to do something big here. And sure enough, big shots come through. Will it be enough, though, as Chess Genius just tries to clean it up? Both one shot away from going back to the lobby and ending this entire tournament.
¿Se dieron cuenta de la escopeta? Los dos tiraron 2 tiros de escopeta y ninguno pegó. Pegó.
What a way to finish this off-spawn fight for the day.
He just double dipped his chip right there. He just double dipped. He missed the first couple of shots and he went back in for more. That is what you call hungry to call yourself one of the best on the region. Even with NPen going down, getting that first elimination, you could see the biggest thing was the siphon match of that elimination went on over to Chess Genius to finish off this 1v1 scenario. A huge display of chemistry and teamwork coming out of them two. And then Chess Genius, nerves of steel, showing how to get the job done. But enough celebrating, it's back to the game.
And it looks like not only is it back to the game, but NPen's back in this game as well. Chess Genius is going to be able to get him back in here. And it doesn't look like any of the other teams that are even relatively close can get back into the action and stop that reboot from happening. So huge for them, but also huge for Acorn and Cold here. As Slappy Shores is in zone, which means, like you see here, they can just stack up on top of one of these buildings and take shots in the distance as they need.
En esta temporada hubo más Bugha en torneos, poco a poco está cayendo el Fortnite.
So all it takes is Peterbot and Bugha to identify that and push in a 2v1
Mientras Fortnite maneja una cantidad de dinero, papi, no va a caer nunca.
I still have a lot of confidence in Cold to be able to take on that 2v1 situation. It would still be tougher than he really needs in that moment.
See Zone rise. 50+ points separate them. And a shot at the FNCS Globals. The Axe, the champions, the prize money, the bragging right to call yourself the last NAE's champion. It's going to take a lot. They're going to have to dig deep.
¿Qué tal, Nilson? ¿Cómo andamos, papi? Bienvenido.
Because honestly, you
¿Qué
can't
partida
really
es?
count on Acorn and Cold slowing down
La última.
at this stage of the game. Is Khanada finding a huge angle, 56 damage when it comes to that Storm Surge, which is honestly great. Typically when you see they have the zone, or at least when it moves towards the center, they're quick to rotate out. They want to get themselves a spot. But now that they know that everybody towards the southern portion of the map is going to have to rotate to them, they look at it as an opportunity to gather Surge for themselves.
Yeah, and who will be able to gather better? That's the question. Because honestly, these teams have been hot and cold, no pun intended, when it comes to Surge. Because some teams have been walking away with it, especially a team like the one targeting Jackson here that's going to be able to get a few tags onto them. But for teams like Time 1X and Chaos, they have finally found themselves no longer in the off-spawn engagement over at the RVs, but no, now going up against Masterclass and Duke. And this is not a team you want to be fighting. Duke, such an incredibly talented fighter. Obviously, Masterclass keeping him level-headed.
Para las personas que no saben, Duque está jugando con Cented. ¿Correcto? Para las personas que no saben, Duque está jugando con Cented. Y le ha ido muy mal en esta final de
expect greatness, but with the amount of time they spent as a team, it's not necessarily going to be on their best showing here. Just maybe a couple more events, couple more weeks playing together. Masterclass is going to go down. Instead of Duke continuing to fight a 1v2 situation, he's immediately trying to disengage, hoping that if he continues to go south, that they're going to have to disengage themselves because they're just pulling them farther and farther away from the zone. But the impulse grenades coming out. Time 1X trying to close the distance, and almost a huge opportunity from Duke. But Time 1X is going to seal the deal.
NT para Duque.
Job's not done. Dukes is out, but job's not done for some of these other teams, especially teams like Bugha and Peterbot, who find themselves just underneath Acorn and Cold. This could be a fight off spawn, something we haven't seen these two do in this competition to date. So this would be tough. I'll be honest. This could go either way. And remember, like we were talking about moments ago, if Cold and Acorn go down at this point, then it is wide open for Zone Rise to take it.
I know early on in the season before FNCS began, I was watching those early Elite Cups, right? And this is a similar situation that I've seen play out. Acorn and Cold, top position.
Mire, para que me crean chat, miren, ahí está, ve. Duques, acá está, Duques estuvo jugando con Cented. Solamente que en el Fortnite Tracker aparece su nombre normal. Y pues en el juego se cambió el nombre, ¿no? Ahí está Cented para que me creas. 129.000 de Power Ranking, 355.000 de Earning, ¿no? Ya fue mal.
Despite not necessarily winning up to this point, they clearly realize that they're the only ones that could potentially disrupt the top of the leaderboard, and they're looking to do just that. So for Peterbot, even though he's kind of taking this as a solo, Bugha needs to be with him. And it looks like he's actually going to play to the other side. Peterbot sneaking in from behind could
A
catch
ver,
Acorn
es la
and Cold off
primera
guard.
vez
That's what
que
he's looking to
veo
do. All it takes is Cold to open
que se van a
one
mechar de
edit
una
here,
manera
and they could
intensa.
potentially snag him, but no, now they're back
¿Quién gana?
together. See, I think if there's any chance for them to strike, unfortunately that time has passed.
Yeah, this is treacherous waters for everybody involved here at this point. Because of how long Peterbot and Bugha were sneaking around. A third-party team slowly but surely closing in on the
No, se va Peterbot, se van.
The thing is, for them,
Ya se va
the team that's
Peterbot,
rotating
gente.
in, they're just gathering information. I don't think they know if this is a play they can advance on yet. I don't think they have enough of the intel, and that's why you see Bugha and Peterbot. Bugha spotted him out long ago. They're trying to turn, burn, take him out, and catch them slipping on the sneaky play. Peterbot almost going through, but he's got to shockwave himself up, trying to bulldoze himself through the build, continue the fight going. But the tables might be able to turn. Cold and Acorn could try to third-party this themselves.
Uy, buen escopetazo.
Yeah, I mean, this is interesting, and this is actually huge for Acorn and Cold.
Ooh,
if they want, they can begin to disengage, but another team is now wanting to get involved. This is huge here, Jacob.
And Acorn and Cold are like, I want none of that. I want none of that noise. I want to win the FNCS right here, right now, and honestly staying alive.
Ah, bestia, qué rápido y toda esa pared.
Seen some teams in the similar position. They're able to run away with it. All they need to do, realistically, is not go down early. The placement points will be enough as Peterbot bites off more than he could chew. With a mouthful, he goes down. Bugha stuck with the GOAT mentality, trying to make up for lost time, but he takes too much damage. He's forced back as well.
Se nos
With only
va
a mini and a
Bugha.
splash, there's not going to be enough. And Austin and Flo, no, we cannot give him the time to stabilize himself in this position. They're taking additional angles, but back to
Se nos va Bugha, aquí nomás. Ese dúo ya splitió ya.
We got what we came for. Now we continue on with our game.
Listen, tough day in the office for Bugha, but still, regardless of that,
Ese dúo ya splitió.
they are definitely, or he is definitely the GOAT. You can't argue with me. I will win that argument 10 out of 10 times. This man, no matter how he finishes on the day, still the GOAT in
I'm going to
Fortnite
argue
history.
with you after the show, then.
After the show, listen, we'll talk about it, but I promise you, you know how my opinion is going to sway. But teams that still are in this, it's Rise and Iamzo preying on the downfall of Cold and Acorn there in the distance. They don't know necessarily how much action is taking place, but they want it to happen because all they need to do in a situation like this, stay alive, get some eliminations, and go for a top 5 placement. They do that, and they can actually surpass first place if they go down early.
Yeah, that's the thing about everybody else stuck in the lobby here. If they're looking to take first place, their destiny, their fate is no longer in their hands unless they're going to go toe-to-toe with the team currently sitting in first place. I don't know if that's going to be a good choice, though, with how well they've been playing. Reciprocal and Revised sitting in 5th place, 461 points. Even though they're about 100 points shy of taking that first place spot, I talked about there's still hundreds of thousands.
Todavía no se
of
muere
dollars
ni
we're fighting
Enzo,
for,
Khanada sigue
and for
con
a team,
vida,
it's
Acorn
the bragging
también.
rights. That's that cherry on top.
Los 5 primeros lugares
Listen, I
están
think
con
a lot of
vida,
teams
nadie
get
se muere.
lost in the oh, I want to win my off-spawn engagement. I want to show the other team that this is my spot and this is where I'm going to land for the future. But more often than not, that story never goes well for either team. But in this situation, for Peterbot and Bugha, while it hasn't gone well for them, for Acorn and Cold, it's been quite an opposite story because they're at the top of the leaderboard. So not every contested drop is instantly a bottom 25. No. For them, they have found a way to capitalize on being contested and find success
Esto
throughout.
se decide en el late, sí.
And honestly, for Iamzo and Rise,
Pero mira el...
they're going to need a huge recipe
Está 150
for
biló por
success.
debajo, Enzo.
They're going to have to gather all the ingredients and begin to cook up something here in this situation.
Cole está
Just
160
hoping and
por
praying
encima.
Cold and Acorn go down, I'm not sure that's going to be enough because they still have about 50 points to overcome, even if that situation does play
Qué
out like
partida
they
es magia
want.
la última, papi.
Is Acorn and Cold. I spotted that rotation in the distance, immediately trying to disengage. And honestly, that was a scary sight at the beginning of the game, but oh my God, what an even scarier. 66 points as a solo? Why can't I be that good?
I mean, listen, I'll be honest with you. If you were that good, you'd probably be playing. You probably wouldn't be hanging out with me, and I couldn't imagine anybody else to bring NA East home with than my brother Jacob. So I'm glad you're not that good, because then we get to break it down here. But for Acorn and Cold, they're also glad. They're also super glad to be still up and at it in this game. You saw them using the boat rotate in, and actually in the side that they were rotating in on, there wasn't a lot of congestion. So if they continue to rotate further north,
Se murió Bugha. No.
Success and be able to stay alive in it, but with a V-even user on the height, looking and lurking, waiting for one of these teams to seemingly leave their head open for those shots to connect onto. They have to be
Lo revivió Peterbot, gente.
because it's going to be a tough day.
Bugha revivió Peterbot.
At the other end of Aviv's shots.
Yeah, they're hoping players like Reciprocal and anybody else maneuvering themselves towards Brutal Bastion. Use those static
Mataron
launch pads to try
a
to
Bugha.
rotate. They're
Enzo mató a
one of
Bugha.
the teams the highest elevation on this side of the map. So for them, probably licking their lips, licking their chops, hoping for that one to come through. As the struggles for Yamzo and Rise, we saw them moments ago, down when
Uy,
it came to
26 por
Surge.
debajo. Les está pegando el
Not looking
Surge.
too much better, even though it's only 42. There's not too many teams close by.
Murió
for them
Peterbot.
to try to pop those shots. Everybody is boxed up in a box fight, or just trying to rotate themselves in towards zone. The first team that gets spotted out ends up putting the tags onto Yamzo himself. Luckily for him, he does have danger here to try to take himself up, and finds a team slow to rotate towards the backside of zone, finding a miracle to keep themselves above the threshold.
We were talking about Yamzo and Rise needing Acorn and Cold to go down early, but it looks like Yamzo and Rise might be the ones to drop here, as they are 91 damage above the threshold. That's not a lot to work with, especially because Surge was just taking away at their health. So for some of these other teams,
Bugha
they're going to start
campeón.
playing this together. And what just happened? Yamzo must have got the last hit onto Bryce, and Bryce is now out.
That's just one of those situations you don't see happen every day. A little bit of a fadeaway coming out from Yamzo. And this is where you could see them. They put that pressure on the duo. As soon as zone pulls, they realize it's almost on the other side of where they're at. Even though they're down
88 por encima.
up above, down below, playing a game of ping pong, they realize they still have to rotate while all this chaos is going down. And luckily for them, Narni and Larson peeking through at the wrong time, which allowed them to land a couple of shots. Acorn and Cold keeping themselves going. We saw their rotate, but it's not done just yet. 154 above the damage threshold, though. They have the comfortability. Combine that with a full-on launch pad. They're going to get themselves in zone if they can survive this.
Yeah, and survival is the name of the game here, because remember, they don't have to win the game. Acorn and Cold just have to survive.
Sigue con vida Acorn y
They just
Cold.
need to stay active in this game and get some
Mataron a
points,
Clicks.
and they solidify their spot up at the top of the leaderboard. So for them, they're playing it safe, playing it cool, calm, collected, and so far it's working for them.
See Rise just trying to escape right now. Doesn't want to get caught in madness.
Como que D-Ray y Enzo no le quieren dar tregua, ¿no? Como quieren...
180, but last time we saw it.
Ya no se olviden que tenemos que llegar a las 700 reacciones en este directo para ver West, ¿ok? ¿Quieres ver West conmigo o no quieres ver West conmigo, papá? Ojo que las partidas de West sí las voy a ver desde el juego, porque Fortnite no transmite las partidas de West, los canceló. Entonces las partidas de West sí los voy a ver desde el juego, ¿no? Porque no, Fortnite no transmite ya, pues. Solamente transmite Europa, Easy y Brasil. A West lo sacó.
Ironically enough, while Yamzo and Rise are staying in this one, so are Acorn and Cold. So while Rise and Yamzo have had the better day too, Acorn and Cold will be able to potentially clutch up these final few moments.
Awesome, late shockwave out. Catch him on the tail end. And this is the situation I was saying for them to control their own destiny at the very minimum. They need eliminations. They've already got 3 underneath their belt. They know the end game has the possibility for even more. And that's going to be the strategy they use to try to close the gap. On the other side, though, the 2-horse race, the one sitting comfortably in first place for now, Acorn and Cold. You said it. Survival is going to be the name of the game. Or, you know, you can just land perfect shots like that. I gotta see his total damage at the end of the total FNCS. He's got to be over 9,000.
Over 9,000 indeed here for Cold. I mean, the guy is just incredible when it comes to landing the shots when it counts, and so that's what's going to keep them in this one. But unfortunately, not going to be able to stay in this one is Donnie. Donnie does go down to Scare there in the elimination feed.
Se murió Bugha, sí, ya murió Bugha, papi, Peterbot. Pero si lo quieres ver, ahí está.
Of course, was rooting for. Unfortunately, going to be out potentially of this one. But Agers and Khanada, they're never out. Remember, the player in Khanada almost never, I believe only one time has found himself.
Khanada también quiere sacar, quiere al menos Khanada el top 2.
That is massive to think about. So for Khanada and Agers, he's not looking to adjust that trend yet. So they're going to go for big plays here in these next few moments.
Accolades on accolades for Khanada. The list is endless. Only thing he's missing is the NA East FNCS Championship. Hey, there's a possibility Acorn and Cold and Yamzo and Rise go down. They swoop in, they steal it away. Call them the showstoppers. If that one comes to fruition. But it takes this team in particular to go down. Rise and Yamzo, 3 eliminations so far. An empty slot on the Rise, so you can imagine the battles that they've been through have cost them
D-Rate y Enzo están sacando
to this
kills.
point. And can you imagine the top 3 teams right here, right before our very eyes? They don't even know how
Buena
close
partida se
they
viene,
are to ending one's run.
Fortnite mayormente nos está poniendo a los 2 primeros lugares.
Cool for everybody.
Ooh, here it is. Look at the rotate these
No
teams
tiene
are gonna
martillo
have to
Cole.
do with Acorn and Cole
Ojo,
on top
si
of,
Cole muere
Verizon
ahorita,
and Yamzo, it's gonna be a
rotando
tough
hacia la
rotate,
zona,
but like
y
we've
Enzo y
mentioned
D-Rey la
time and
ganan,
again,
salen
everybody's gonna be
campeones.
putting their ear to the canvas, listening for that first hammer to strike. And sure enough, there it is. You hear the hammer plays starting to go. People rotating on the outside of the zone. But for a max pool situation like Rise and Yamzo, Acorn, and Cold find themselves in, it's going to be tough. But, man, that leaderboard continues to get a little bit closer and closer here, Jacob.
Yep. From 50 plus to about 45 at this stage of the game. Rise and Yamzo looking to continue to close the gap. Hot on the heels of a solo. This could be the opportunity that Yamzo and Rise were looking for. Building quite largely towards the low ground, spotting out Blake, seeing him take some damage to another team. Any opportunity, but the problem is they don't want to force it. You force it, a bad play, it's going to turn around to bite you. And they're one of the few teams that can contest
No
first
te lo puedo.
place. And
¿Cómo
speaking of
Acorn y
them,
Coran
Acorn
llevamos a la
will
zona?
parallel once more.
And this could be the fight. This could actually define who climbs up to the top spot on the leaderboard. Acorn and Cold almost wall to wall with Rise and Yamzo, and not much left. Cold is struggling on material.
This is it. They're probably looking at the duo right across from them and saying, hey, this is the refresh we're looking for. You see the standings on your top right? Points upon points separating these two. I talked about eliminations being the name of the game for Rise and Yamzo. Imagine eliminating the only team in first place and then going on to have a historic run. But we talked about the lack of resources on the first place team. Still have their eyes set on this refresh right in front of them. Zone's gonna pull. They have to go that direction. So they gotta act quick before Rise and Yamzo find some sort of escape plan. But they're down on resources too.
Mero eliminado.
The 2 teams that need it the most are struggling, and it looks like their only savior is to fight one another. Could we see this competition end early? Will we know the winner before this game is even done? It is going to be a close battle here on the edge of zone, but it's zone 6. You already know what time it is. Chug down that energy drink. It is time to get hyped as we go into the final moments of the NA East Grand Finals.
See, up goes Yamzo and Rise. They're trying to escape.
No tiene material Acorn, 130 de max.
Se
cayó.
But he slides down.
Se cayó.
The few resources he can have to be used to try to get up that mountaintop. Cold doesn't have the hammer to break through these builds, and he has most of the heals, the splashes. Acorn finds a way to reunite. Cold sees a path. He's trying to ignite the fire underneath to keep his position on the leaderboard intact. And everything coming down to this, they figure out a way to escape once, but how many times can they escape death?
And here it is. Casker, Clarity G holding the high ground. Huge play for them, but Acorn Cold now in the box of another player. Could be the refreshes. Rise. 2. Big shot onto Rise. Almost finishing it off, but Rise getting away just by a sliver of HP. Yamzo, though, down in the feed.
Mataron a Enzo.
Rise left as a solo player. Can he clutch it up?
Acorn and Cold
mató a 2.
as well. Acorn goes down altogether, but somehow the Cold does it again. 2 more eliminations added to his total, and a chance to get the res off onto Acorn. It goes down to these moments. Rise is going to have to step up big, but you see high ground.
Khanada puede quedar en el puesto 2.
Clarity and Caskers trying to be bracket busters to the
Bueno, si es que
leaderboard,
muere
and
D-Rate.
everybody's run below. There's still thousands of dollars for everybody up for grabs that might not have that chance at first, so they're trying and fighting tooth and nail to keep their own game intact.
Ouch.
What just happened? Acorn is down. Cold only has 63 HP. He needs to move away. Now as a solo player, yet again, down but not out. Cold holds on.
The pressure, the game, this is all it. He's clutched game after game, moment after moment. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride when it comes to second place. Now
Murió D-Rate.
And he does it! Cold and Acorn are your FNCS Major 1 champions!
And we already know they have booked their way on to the Global Championships. Congratulations, Acorn and Cole. But it's not over for these other teams. And Pump still in it as a solo player.
Trying to take down a beat.
Oh.
Money up for grabs, and he wants it. He wants it to be all theirs.
L2, R2.
Trashy's out. Zone pulls back. That's going to be the miracle they're waiting for. High ground still going to be held by Casper.
Canadá todavía sigue con vida.
We've seen them this high in the sky was during their big elimination.
Si Canadá la gana, puede subir al top 2.
We might not come out on top, but we want to be the team they talk about. Down goes Khanada, up goes Angers, 2v1 yet again. What are we witnessing coming down to the wire?
Angers said, nah, Cole isn't the only solo player that can clutch up. I'm gonna do it here. Final game of the day, pressuring down below. He has everything he needs. He has a few resources, tons of ammo to make this work, but he just needs to hold on.
It's almost looking like a solo FNCS here. One team has the chance to call themselves a full duo. That's Burt and Walkers that are
No, pero ojo, todavía está con vida Ayers, el dúo de Canadá. No se ha muerto Ayers, chicos.
But maybe Pump has something to say about it. He wants to challenge Ayers for the high ground, sending him tumbling down. That was his moment to strike. Didn't work out as he wanted, so Ayers gonna hold on to be the king in the sky.
Yeah, but how much longer can he hold on? What an elimination onto Pump. He can only hold on for so much more. 20 builds remaining, not too much to work with.
¿Ves?
But with the way the zone is pulling, he might be able to do it for the remainder of this game. You see Jake, Walkers, Vert, all down below. It is one duo and the rest are solos. Walkers and Vert looking to clean it up from the low ground, but on height, of course, he still remains.
Timing has to be perfect here for Agers, who wants to try to disrupt the 2v1s, take advantage of the solo that's down, but it's not going to be a chance anymore. Down goes Jake. Burton Walker's in a 2v1 versus Agers here. And this is all for bragging rights here for the final game. We know who won, but who's going to be rewarded with the last victory round of FNCS? And it's going to be Walkers. It's going to be Burt as he hits the slam dunk, taking down.
A ver, chat, quiero ver el top número 2 porque yo creo que ya tenemos un campeón definido. Y lo vamos a ver en 3, 2, 1. Y el campeón de la FNCS, sí, como les digo, muchachos, el campeón es Acor con Cole. Campeones de la FNCS de la región de Costa Este. Canadá quedó en el puesto número 2. No se olviden que Acor y Cole automáticamente clasifican a la presencial, en noviembre en Dinamarca. Canadá top 2 con 552 puntos. T-Ray y Enzo top 3 con 547. Peterbot y Bugha sacaron top 16. Vamos a ver cómo están en las redes sociales. ¿Qué les parece, muchachos? A ver. ¿Qué le dice Mero a Cole? Vamos rápidamente a traducirlo. Dice, pasando el mejor papel de clutch en solitario por Cole. Acá, perfecto. Mira, ¿ve? Canadá, segundo lugar en la gran final junto a Ayers. Ahí lo tenemos ahí. A nuestro amigo Canadá haciendo su publicación respectiva. Muy bien por parte de él. Tenemos a Enzo, que también publicó su top 3. Se acaba de llevar $50.000 ganados Enzo. ¿Qué dice Clicks? Simplemente no era nuestra temporada, nunca practicamos, ya que fuimos disputados toda la temporada. Voy a hacer lo que mejor hago y convertirme en un fragger la próxima temporada. ¿Qué quiere decir Clicks? Que la próxima temporada va a ser fragger y ya va a dejar de ser IGL. ¿Correcto? Vamos a ver qué publican los demás jugadores, por favor. Vamos a actualizar, vamos a ver la publicación de Colf. Ahí está, hace 2 minutos, primer lugar, $120.000 ganados. Felicitaciones para Cole. Vamos a ver más, chicos. Un refresh, un F5 para ver si tenemos otra cosita por ahí. A ver. Ahí está, Pong hace 17 segundos haciendo su publicación del top número 8, obteniendo $12.000 ganados. Listo, chat. Hemos terminado con la región de Costa Este. Con la región de Costa Este ya hemos terminado. Muchísimas gracias a todas las personas que me acompañaron el día de hoy. Voy a cortar y voy a aprender para ver West, ¿ok? No hemos llegado a la meta de like, chat. ¿Dónde está su meta de like, gentita? No hemos llegado a la meta de like. Pero bueno, no hay pedo. Vamos igual a aprender para ver Wes. Quiero ver porque está muy bonita Wes. Corto y prendo. Tengo que copiar miniatura, ¿ok? Corto y prendo y vemos Wes. ¿Correcto, muchachos? No hay otra publicación, nada. Nada. Listo. Corto y prendo. Regreso, muchachos. Corto y prendo.